check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Do you own or run a business in Illinois that succeeded in this challenging economic environment? If so, we want to hear about it. AM 560's Business Tour 2017, presented by Signature Bank, will be highlighting business success stories. Tell us your story and be a part of a live broadcast of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Find out more and submit your information at 560theanswer.com/business. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My water heater broke down.
Sorry, but your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover water heater breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my water heater?
I'm afraid not.
But his water heater could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus components of 20 other major home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-300-2127. Home insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-300-2127. That's 1-800-300-2127. 1-800-300-2127.
How would you like to lose 10, 15, even 25 pounds in the next 30 days? Well, I'm about to tell you how you can do it for free right now. You've probably heard of Beachbody or seen their workout DVDs on TV like P90X, Insanity, and 21 Day Fix. Well, they just launched a beta trial of their new online video service called Beachbody On Demand, and they're inviting you to use it for free for 30 days. Now, here's the catch. In return, all they want is for you to let them know what you think of their new on-demand service so they can make it the best fitness and weight loss site ever created. Just text the word STREAM to 303030, and you can do 30 days of P90X, Insanity, Brazil Butt Lift, or one of 500 other Beachbody workouts for free. And that means you can lose 10, 20, even 30 pounds without paying a dime. Just text STREAM to 303030. That's STREAM to 303030 to get started for free right now.
Message and data rates may apply. Membership fees apply after 30-day free trial. Cancel anytime.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I've seen it in my lab. I've seen the immune response increase. I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection, and I know that it works.
Balance of Nature is providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
510. An update on the roads this morning in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Let's get the very latest with Jim Talamonte and say good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. Things are fairly quiet right now on the expressways and tollways. The next round of construction has begun on the Kennedy at Cumberland for work on the new flyover ramp there. So there will be some restrictions, and lanes are narrowed in the area from around River Road on 190 to Harlem on the Kennedy. There will be some additional closures, especially overnights and on weekends. Right now, traffic moves nicely through the area with no delays. Also, got some road work on the outbound ride at 87th again this morning. 2 left lanes are closed till 6 a.m. Otherwise, at the moment, things are fairly quiet. No crashes or incidents to report. Traffic is a service of ADT. ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. The latest with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly cloudy with periods of rain and drizzle late in the afternoon, high 53. An evening shower in spots, otherwise a cloudy night tonight with a low 38. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high 51. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
A rainy start to spring break week. 51 degrees at O'Hare, 48 along the lakefront, 50 at Midway. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with host Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And the Final Four is set. Should mention. Great games this weekend.
What happened to your buddy from Bennett, Sean O'Mara?
Oh, O'Mara.
Oh, darn it. I worked all weekend on that. Sean O'Mara.
Yeah, Xavier went down to Gonzaga. My one Final Four team that remains alive. And at least, hopefully, some solace could be taken if Gonzaga wins it all, and at least I will have predicted the champion, which is no easy feat.
Well, I have University of North Carolina, so
yeah,
you're going to win, or I'm going to win, or maybe we'll both lose.
North Carolina plays Oregon, and of course, Gonzaga plays South Carolina. Here, what we do here is we don't break down the game. We're not going to the telestrator. We break down
field goal percentages.
We break down the culture. We do the intersection of sports and culture, which is by extension politics. And interesting, couple of notes. One, what happens when the left's virtue signaling, particularly coming from the left coast, runs into March Madness? Well, we got the answer to that question when UCLA made it to the Sweet 16 to get throttled by Kentucky in Tennessee. Because you may recall the California legislature made a show of solidarity with the LGBTQ to prohibit public-funded travel to states that discriminate against gay and transgender individuals. Public travel meaning including public universities like, say, UCLA. Well, Tennessee has a law that allows mental health counselors to refuse to serve gay and transgender patients based on religious objections.
Oh, that's right.
Now, religion is not something the state of California recognizes.
There are religious people there.
So this law in Tennessee would be violative of the law passed in California. So what happened when UCLA wanted to go to Tennessee to lose to Kentucky in the Sweet 16? In violation of California state law. Were they allowed to travel on the public's dime? Yes, they were.
Oh, okay.
Of course they were. They just ignored the law in California. Because do you understand what the left's virtuous signaling is? And do you understand what happens when the reality of the zeitgeist of March Madness runs into their so-called principles, in quotation marks? Of course, the principles dissipate. It's just flag waving. They're not serious about it. Not at any cost. Not if there's a cost to be imposed. But wouldn't that have been the principled move to say, I'm sorry, UCLA, you're going to have Bill Walton write a personal check because we can't allow public funds to be used for you to travel to Tennessee to play in the Sweet 16. Wouldn't that have been an interesting moment? That was an opportunity.
An
opportunity for the California State Legislature to provide leadership. Right?
They didn't do it.
Easy to pass legislation, when you're a one-party state. Easy to throw through some bill to offer as a tribute to a constituency. But then when the real-world implications are triggered, oh boy, isn't that interesting. I just thought I'd note that. Now, on the other side, flip side, South Carolina, they're kind of incredible run. Frank Martin done an incredible job at South Carolina. Their first Sweet 16, much less first Final Four. After the Baylor-South Carolina game, of course, South Carolina hammering Baylor, Vern Lundquist and Jim Spanarkel noticed something. They noticed that after the celebration, Perry Clark and one of the assistant coaches for South Carolina came out and said, "Calm down. Look at this. This is a remarkable scene of sportsmanship. Both teams huddled together, coaches, players, other staff, with arms slung around each other and heads bowed, offering a prayer after the game." Spanarkel finally said, "Whatever it is, it's a great scene." And this was picked up by Athletes in Action, too. And the review here I thought was an interesting one. The author suggests the post-game prayer circle, we can embrace two realities, both good reminders regarding the truth of public displays of religiosity. On the one hand, let's not overstate the religious or evangelical importance of a post-game prayer circle and project a ton of meaning onto the faith of players or coaches or their desire to see God's will done on earth as it is in heaven. People wind up in prayer circles for a whole host of reasons, too often for ones that don't align with anything close to God's will. So let's not overstate the case. That said...
Yeah, but that said, did you see the South Carolina head coach during the post-game interview yesterday? He thanked God for the people that he's brought into his life. And I thought it was beautiful, but I thought, oh, my gosh, if anybody makes an issue out of this, I'm going to rip their spleen out with a rusty spoon. Thank you.
That's right, just as
I
God,
mean,
just as Jesus
this is God
would do.
would want.
Yeah, exactly. The story, the famous parable of Jesus and the rusty spoon.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. But no, it would concern me because I thought, oh, no, here we go.
But on this Athletes in Action, the other hand, this observation about that prayer circle, the post-game prayer, anytime the gospel gets put on display, anytime there's a recognition, a moment of silence, a tip of the hat in the direction of transcendent realities, we can be encouraged for the reminder that the kingdom of heaven is indeed spreading. So I thought that was a nice moment, and I think, as you say, Frank Martin offered a nice reflection as well. And I'll tell you what, if you want to understand how Frank Martin turned that program around, and it was
a horrible program.
It was not a good program. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like turning around Northwestern, but it was not a great program in the SEC. And Martin had just come off a couple of years in Kansas State where he had a run there, and then that didn't work out ultimately. But really interesting, essentially, letter to Gamecock Nation. And mostly the reason I'm reading this is so I can say Gamecocks.
Okay.
This is in the Players Tribune, and it's a letter to the team as well as to fans from Frank Martin, talking about telling about a lot of the basketball, Sindarius Thornwell and his amazing Player of the Year season and all that. But Martin describes the program. When people ask me to describe what this program was like when I first got here, I usually tell them one story. We have a beautiful arena that seats 18,000 people. The first regular season game I coached at South Carolina, the stadium wasn't even half filled.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a ghost town, and I'm not talking about ancient history here. That was 2012. In fact, it was so quiet I could literally hear a gentleman have a conversation on his cell phone word for word from across the court while the game was going on. This season, by contrast, so fast forward 5 years, 13th in the nation in total attendance. And he talks about what they ask from fans and what the fans have given: time, money, and passion. And that's part of that clarity of ask is what has generated, and obviously turning the program around, getting better players, winning games, has turned it around. Here's the interesting background on Martin that he recounts in his letter. I spent 15 years as a high school math teacher. That was the first job where I learned how to help young people grow and develop before I even got into college coaching. I had a good understanding of the importance of building trust with the people you're trying to teach, and the only way you develop trust is through honesty. And so he talks about his recruiting approach and that he levels with people. He's not guaranteeing wins. He's not guaranteeing SEC championships. He's not guaranteeing
playing time.
Well, of course, not guaranteeing Final Four bursts. He's guaranteeing an approach. He kind of concludes his piece in part. I've seen these guys lose, but I've never seen them defeated. They came in as 17-year-old teenagers who were wet behind the ears. You could hardly carry on a normal conversation with them because they were more focused on what Twitter was saying than what was going on right in front of them. But 4 years later on that court, a group of grown men came together and took care of business.
And then he ends the piece talking about shaking Coach K's hand after they beat Duke.
Yeah.
This is a cool moment. He goes, I felt chills go up and down my body. It really hit me all at once that we were advancing to the Sweet 16 for the first time in school history. When we met at half court, the winningest coach in college basketball history told me something I know I'm never going to forget. Frank, you've got a great team. You're building something special here.
Oh.
And, he clearly is. So just, I don't know, some kind of nice moments. And even sports has become so politicized. So it's nice to see and elevate, kind of good examples of how it's supposed to be done about coaching and teaching, even at the college level, with all the money associated with March Madness and college basketball, just like college football, to see teachers, educators in coaching positions that are developing young men into good basketball players and a good basketball team, but into men.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Soggy start to your work week. That's for sure. It's going to be mainly cloudy, cooler. Bring your umbrella because we're going to have some rain late this afternoon, a high of 53. An evening shower in spots. And then tomorrow, mostly cloudy, warmer, a high of 51 degrees. Actually, no, it's a little bit cooler. Let's get into our alarm detection systems traffic center. It's spring break week for a lot of people. Is there any problems on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. So far, fairly quiet. There is a crash, though, on southbound I-55. It's south of US 6, somewhere before Bluff Road. Trying to nail down the location there, but traffic is starting to back up in that area. The northbound side is okay. Inbound Stevenson, a little heavy approaching Lakeshore Drive with the ongoing construction there. I-57, got a 2-minute delay approaching the Rhine. Bishop Ford, just about a 1-minute delay. And the Rhine's a little congested heading into downtown. Kennedy's fine right now, though there is a new round of road work begun on the Cumberland flyover, the new ramp there. And so you've got some lanes narrowed and shifted in the area from River Road on 190 to around Harlem. So that could cause some additional congestion there. And on the outbound Eisenhower at York Road, a crash just reported. Traffic's heavy from North Avenue to York Road. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Harvey owns a building and wants to save money by making his heating and cooling system more energy efficient.
Yes.
But Harvey's afraid of the cost and if he can get a return on his investment.
I am indeed.
Plus, he's nervous about disrupting the businesses that rent space in his building. Harvey doesn't know what to do with an HVAC system that's seen better days. The Air Comfort problem solvers to the rescue. Working as a team, the Air Comfort professionals find simple solutions that make a huge impact on building efficiency and operating costs with minimal or no disruptions to building operations. HVAC upgrades and retrofits from Air Comfort can save thousands of dollars per year. They save energy, reduce maintenance, and eliminate downtime. And buildings with better energy ratings command higher rents and selling prices and make tenants happy. Get real solutions from the Air Comfort team of problem solvers. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com and start saving money today. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
The success of a mid-sized business often comes down to one thing: managing your cash flow. I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, we take a personalized and proactive approach to structuring your cash management solutions to keep your financial assets safe and working for you. Our automated accounts receivable and accounts payable technology allows your business to grow without adding to your overhead expenses. And what truly sets Signature Bank apart is our personal approach. We get to know your business by rolling up our sleeves to work alongside you. Call me today for a review of your company's operational challenges.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, you're probably not thinking about back to school season right now. In fact, many of you are worried about spring break, but now is the best time to think about where you'll be sending your son or daughter off to school this fall. It's a pretty big decision, and many of you may have felt like private school simply wasn't in the budget for your family. Well, think again. We want to tell you about halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, you can find local private schools from all over the Chicagoland area that are offering vouchers for a full year of tuition at half the price with no catch. Find a school near you, purchase a tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. It's really that simple. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools located all over the Chicagoland area, including Aurora, Romeoville, Antioch, Downers Grove, Chicago, South Holland, just to name a few. So make private schools affordable for your family for the first time, but do not wait. These vouchers will sell out. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
If you have pain, I hope you listen up. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You don't need to live in pain. Let me repeat that. You do not have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst, whether it's from an accident or pain that just develops. Chicagoland, you're in luck. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the nation's most respected and successful pain doctors. He's been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Bottom line, he's the pain doctor you need. Dr. Candido of Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists will help you get off pain medication and all of the side effects. How? By finding the source of your chronic pain and fixing it.
This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. Let's make you pain-free.
Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com. Thousands have been helped with their chronic pain, and you could be the next one. Get the phone number and all the info you need at mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com.
AM 560.
The Answer. Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter, or hear about it from your friends, find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy wanted to update this terrible incident at a Cincinnati nightclub. The shooting over the weekend, of course, you hear shooting at a nightclub, 15 people shot. I saw the alert come over the transom like early morning hours on Sunday, right? Saturday?
Yes, Sunday morning.
And you think Orlando, but it turns out it doesn't appear to be terrorist related.
No, absolutely not. They said it was, guys getting in a fight, things got out of control. One person killed, 15 wounded. But also there was that strange attack in Las Vegas where the guy barricaded himself on a bus, and you think that that's terrorism, but again, it was just a mentally challenged individual who the police took down.
That's a whole separate thing. When somebody opens fire in a nightclub and indiscriminately shoots 15 people, that's a whole different matter. I know
a man on a double-decker bus pulled out a gun, killed one passenger in Vegas, and then barricaded himself in.
I know that this is a club in Cincinnati that's had incidents of violence previously, but
the Thug Club, somebody called it.
Well, so there it is. We're gonna have we'll have a reporter from Cincinnati later in the show to give us additional details. I mean, it's fortunate when you indiscriminately fire into a crowd. It's fortunate that more of the 15 injured didn't die, although there are a number of people still in critical condition. So,
but also, too, if it's had a history of so many times where police have been called, why they don't just shut it down.
Well, that's something I'm sure residents are going to be asking the government of Cincinnati this morning as well. We'll have updates on that, and we'll talk about Obamacare repeal and replace being pulled after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
49 degrees this morning, cloudy skies, and 8 high school students are feared dead after an avalanche slams into a Japanese ski resort. Authorities say the avalanche struck this morning on Mount Nasu, around 125 miles north of Tokyo. 30 are thought to be injured severely. Roughly the same number of students and teachers were able to make it out safely. President Donald Trump's aides opening the door to working with moderate Democrats on health insurance reform and other issues. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said Sunday that Trump must be willing to drop attempts to repeal his predecessor's signature achievement.
If he aims a proposal aimed at the middle class and the poor people, doesn't give breaks to the rich, we could work with them. But I don't think they're headed in that direction, and they're going to repeat the same mistake they made on Trump Care.
Schumer says Trump ran as a populist, but he believes he's moved so far to the right, he's made it virtually impossible for Democrats in the Senate to work with him. President Donald Trump will announce today the start of a new White House office that will borrow ideas from the business sector to improve how government works. Senior administration official says Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, will lead the White House Office of American Innovation. A woman accused of trying to jump the White House fence has been arrested for allegedly committing a similar stunt. Secret Service says 38-year-old Marcy Anderson of Washington was caught up in an attempt to jump the White House fence last week. Officials say yesterday Anderson tried to scale the fence at the Treasury building next to the White House. No suspects in custody after a shootout at a Cincinnati nightclub left one man dead and 15 others wounded. One of those critically. Club operator Jay Rogers says he's saddened. The club does have a history of gun violence. Former Chicago Public Schools CEO Paul Vallis could be given the top administrative job at cash-strapped Chicago State University later today. An undisclosed medical issue could impact whether former Chicago Mayor Richard Daley must give a deposition in a federal lawsuit alleging he ignored evidence of widespread torture by a former Chicago police commander. There is a status hearing in front of Judge Amy St. Eve set for later today. Nikola Mirotic had a game-high 28. Bulls beat the Bucks 109-94. Cactus League play. Sox edge the Giants and the Cubs split a pair. The news service of ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home and your family, all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It is a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. It's 5:33. It's time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher has a message to Republicans in Congress.
I'm trying to pace myself. I'm trying not to get too fired up over these Republicans who are pushing back and arguing and squabbling and what about this, what about that. You know, you are flirting with danger. Why don't you act like Democrats do once in a while and be unified?
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job opening on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
You own or run a business. This is a conversation about one of those gotta-haves, fire and safety equipment. I know it's easy to set it and kind of forget it, except for the mandatory inspections. But think about faulty or ineffective fire and safety equipment. When something bad happens, the business stops. That's never a good thing, and something to avoid. Illinois Fire and Safety is offering you a free audit. Illinois Fire and Safety. If you have the right stuff, you can sleep well. If you don't, they can show you how to change that. It's a simple fact. Fire and Safety is their only business, and their guys are the best. They're trained well, and they think like you. From a single unit to a huge manufacturing facility, Illinois Fire and Safety can handle it. Do an audit. Fire and Safety is really something you don't want to roll the dice with. Illinois Fire and Safety, a company that shares the same values as you do. Let's do that fire and safety audit. 630-629-2413. I know it's sometimes hard to write down numbers, so here's where you can get it. IllinoisFire.com.
5:35. And a check of the roads in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the outbound Eisenhower, traffic is jammed from the Tri-State to past North Avenue, where there's a crash in the left lane. 41 minutes. Downtown Chicago to Thorndale. Inbound, it's 30. Edens is fine. The Kennedy still delay-free. Northbound I-55, a little heavy around Weber. Then it's a little heavy approaching Lakeshore Drive. Southbound, we're seeing fairly heavy delays. I-80 to Before Bluff Road. Right lane is blocked where a truck fire was put out. Ryan, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 20 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop 422. Traffic is a service of TrueCar. Using TrueCar, you can easily find the car you want. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, cloudy, cooler, rain and drizzle. Late this afternoon, high 53. There is an evening shower expected, otherwise clouds, and 38. 51 at O'Hare, 48 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And last week we had Brandon Judd testify before the United States Senate, and boy, did he. Brandon Judd is the president of the National Border Council. And he testified about that rape of the 14-year-old girl in Maryland that has been undercovered by the D.C. press corps to no one's surprise. He talked about that case specifically, saying this.
Senator, had we have done our job, that 14-year-old girl would have never been raped. Period. That's all there is to it. Had we have held those individuals in custody, or that one individual in custody, pending a determination whether that person should be allowed to remain in this country, that rape wouldn't have happened.
Right, and that the suspect in that rape is a person who is here illegally and on ICE's alien removal list. Judd went on to explain more generally the failure of securing our border.
We failed the citizens of this great nation by not securing the border. Not only did we have the catch and release program that completely and totally demoralized the rank and file agents in the Border Patrol, but we also had an arrest rate of 1 out of every 5 individual that crossed the border illegally. We only arrested 1 out of every 2. We only had a 50% effectiveness rate. That's a problem. So not only were the individuals that we were actually arresting, not only were we releasing those individuals, but we were only apprehending 1 out of every 2 that was crossing the border illegally. So there's no private company in the United States that can operate and be successful if they have a 50% success rate. They would go out of business.
So we're missing half, and many of the violent criminals that are detained are released, or they're deported to come back again. And so add to these stories, and we'll continue reporting these stories, even if few other outlets do. Add to that case of the 14-year-old girl raped in Maryland, this case of MS-13, which is that violent El Salvadorian gang. MS-13 gang member Tommy Alvarado Ventura, previously deported 4 times, arrested last week in Hempstead, Long Island.
And here's the thing, when they say they're deported, I don't think that they're really deported. They just take them out of, they've served their times, they take them to ICE, and then ICE does something with them. But I don't think that they go back to El Salvador. Do you? I mean, they say they do, but I don't trust them, because we've had our friend, Arpaio from Maricopa County on several times where he hands them over and then they just drop them off at a bus station. Think, all right, here's money, go back to Juarez.
Well, I don't know what they did, but according to the Nassau County Police Department in New York, Alvarado Ventura was deported from the United States to El Salvador in September 2006, September 2009, April 2010, and December 2011. And he's back, and here's WABC in New York reporting on what Tommy Ventura did.
Nassau County Police Commissioner called this case one of the most heinous of his career. 31-year-old Tommy Ventura is accused of sexually assaulting his girlfriend's 2-year-old daughter, along with beating the little girl in the head. The toddler had to have surgery to repair the damage. When the mother found out, Ventura is then accused of stabbing and beating her. The known gang member, prosecutors said, also stabbed another woman outside a bar, leaving her in serious condition with a collapsed lung. Police Commissioner Thomas Crumpter said said.
Ventura has been previously deported on 4 separate occasions, and the last time on 12/12/2011.
Ventura pleaded not guilty in court after the hearing. A family member of his, visibly upset, passed out in the hallway.
So, I mean, you know, do we have these anecdotes told during the immigration discussion? When everybody says how committed they are to removing people here who are here illegally, who are also violent, with a history of violence. I mean, known gang members, a known gang member, known affiliation MS-13 should be enough. Deported 4 times, and he's back, and what happens? One of the most gruesome crimes you're ever going to hear, as you just heard. The 14-year-old girl in Maryland, at that high school in Maryland, who's raped by somebody who shouldn't be here.
And why did everybody, I mean, the D.C. press corps is right there. They're 42 minutes away. Why? They should have been all over that story.
It doesn't fit with the narrative.
Even
That's
reporting the rape, even in Chicago, I think reporters would report that rape regardless of the political implications of it. I don't even think they did that.
There's reporting of it, but there was even some concessions over the weekend that this isn't being reported like it would be reported if the fact circumstances were different. If the victim, if the suspect was differently situated. Certainly if the suspect was a member of Tea Party, of the Tea Party, or some self-identified conservative had a copy of Milton Friedman's greatest works in his home, then that would be reported widely. That would lead every show on MSNBC. But that's not the case. So now thinking about those 2 cases, then think about this. The Nebraska Democrat Party handing new refugees voter registration cards that are ineligible to use. Nebraska has and welcomes the most refugees and immigrants on a per capita basis, said Nebraska Democrat Party Chairwoman Jan Klebe. When President Trump put his racist travel ban, we put a call out to action to Democrats across the state saying, help us create welcome baskets for refugee and immigrant families who are making Nebraska their home. We made sure that we had individuals write a little note to the families, and then inside each basket there's a letter from the Nebraska Democrat Party welcoming the family. It's signed by me as chair of the party. Then we include a sticker in here for them to put on their card. Also includes a voter registration form. In response to the obvious question, why would you include a voter registration form to people who are ineligible to vote? Ms. Klebe said, it's not illegal to hand out the forms, so folks can start to get familiar with them. Oh, okay. Of course. We want to socialize you to the process.
Here, come and join the Democratic Party.
I'll tell you what.
Just get your emails.
Maybe Tommy Alvarado Ventura would like to be a member of the Nebraska Democratic Party. Maybe that'd be welcome because they don't make any distinctions. And this is, of course, the xenophobia of the left. The leftist xenophobia, as I've termed it, the irrational fear of distinguishing between people who come here in peace to build a better lives for themselves and their families, and people who are predators. They're all just under the rubric immigrants. They're all, if they're refugees, they're all just under the header refugees. Why not distinguish between those people and attempt to ascertain the motives of people who come here? Why so resistant to that is the left? I wonder if they thought that all of those individuals they were welcoming, that Chairman Klebe of the Nebraska Democratic Party was welcoming, I wonder if they thought they were going to vote Republican, if they would be as welcoming. Or if this is just an attempt to import a constituency they need in order to be competitive in elections in Nebraska and elsewhere. I wonder if that's really it. And so political power at all costs, even the public safety. Winning elections at all costs, even undermining the rule of law. Maybe that should be the motto of the Nebraska Democrat Party. Randy in Crown Point, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, guys. You know, this idiot, and I use that term with all due disrespect to this Klebe lady in Nebraska, maybe it is not illegal for her to hand out the registration card. But what if an individual uses that card, votes illegal, is charged? Should she be held as an accomplice, as someone complicit, someone that is encouraged? There are laws on the books that would put her in a spot of responsibility if, in fact, one of these individuals did use this card. To me, this is tantamount to breaking the law. So what? Dan, you're the attorney.
Yeah.
Where does her culpability come into here?
Thanks for the call, Rainey. I mean, she's not. I mean, if it's legal to distribute the forms, then it's legal to distribute the forms. It's up to the election authorities to make determinations on who's eligible or ineligible. But it is worth noting, the kind of, I'm just handing out the forms to get them familiar with those forms. I would never think that anybody would vote illegal, and I'm against illegal voting. I would be against voter fraud, of course. Wink, wink, nod, nod. See if you can slip through the cracks. That's the game. That's what they're doing. Why else this big show? I mean, I'm all for welcoming people to this country who want to come here, as I said, to add value to our country and to their lives. But to do it indiscriminately suggests there's something else afoot. What do you suppose that is?
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today it's going to be cloudy and some rain, especially by this afternoon, so bring an umbrella. A high of 53, not bad. An evening shower and low tonight of 38 degrees. And tomorrow it's going to be mostly cloudy, but no rain in the forecast, and a high of 51. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Delamonte.
Thanks, Amy. Good morning. Eisenhower outbound. It's jammed from before the Tri-State to past North Avenue with a crash in the left lane. 46 minutes from downtown Chicago to Thorndale. Inbound, it's 31. On the inbound Kennedy, heavy Cumberland Harlem, where lanes are shifted and narrowed for the next round of road work. 22 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 23. Additional delays on westbound 190. Stevenson, 39 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, looking at a travel time of 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57 Bishop Ford now with significant delays approaching the merge. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
We're on our Signature Bank AM 560 business tour again this spring. We'll be at Morcus, I think, Chocolates in Palatine on Wednesday. What we're doing is celebrating local businesses overcoming the odds and succeeding in spite of the many challenges they face in Chicagoland. Think of it as making businesses great. Again, we're giving back to the business community by broadcasting our show from locations throughout Chicagoland. Does your business have a great success story? If so, we want to hear about it. Go to 560theanswer.com/business. Fill out the brief form to tell us about how you and your business are beating the odds to serve your clients and community. We're going to select a few more businesses as stops on our AM 560 business tour this spring to broadcast from your location and share your success with our audience. So go to 560theanswer.com/business to tell us your story. That's 560theanswer.com/business. And we may be stopping at your location this spring on the AM 560 business tour sponsored by Signature Bank.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. College campuses are places of quote-unquote emotional coddling and quote-unquote intellectual impoverishment, so wrote leftist New York Times columnist Frank Bruni. The student protesters couldn't look at me directly because if they had, they would have seen another human being, wrote Middlebury College professor Allison Stanger, a self-identified liberal, who suffered a concussion as a result of being assaulted by leftist students protesting the presence of eminent sociologist Dr. Charles Murray on campus. At Middlebury, Stanger was mugged by the reality, quite literally, that there is no safe space for dissent from the established campus orthodoxy. In her description of the violence, Stanger offers the cliched contention that we are at a boiling point. Are we? Were we at a boiling point during the Obama presidency? Or is it more accurate to say that thuggery is what leftist students have been taught since the 1960s by the Che Guevara set in academia and subsequently learned to use alternatively in collaboration with them or against them to extract what they want?
Hi, my name is Ray McElroy, former Chicago Bears player and chaplain and founder and CEO of the nonprofit Array of Hope on Earth. You know, running a successful nonprofit organization that serves at-risk, underserved youth in the inner city of Chicago presents its own set of challenges. I am so relieved that as a small, newer organization, we don't have to count our payroll and HR responsibilities as one of them because of the amazing service we receive from Precision Payroll of America. Not only do I appreciate the professional quality of Precision Payroll of America, but I also love that their values of faith, family, and fair and comprehensive service align perfectly with our own.
Thank you, Ray. For our great services, call me at 630-242-1507 or on the web at precisionpayroll.com. To support a great cause, check out arrayofhopeonearth.org.
Tom, you're the best, bro.
No, man, you're the best.
No, you're the best.
Oh, you the man.
No, for real, dog. You the man.
AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so Uma can't give up the wiener.
Wait, is there reconciliation going on?
She's reportedly giving, according to the New York Post, giving her estranged wiener another chance.
You know why? Because he finally admitted that he was a sex addict, just as similar to being an alcoholic or a drug addict, and he went and he got help. I remember that. So they're giving it another shot, another try?
Uma has been working hard
on
her relationship with Anthony, a source close to the Abedin family told the Post. He's been spending 80 to 90% of his time at the apartment they share.
Oh, that's good. Where else would he be?
A source, I thought he was at that sex clinic getting all the help that he needs for his quote-unquote addiction.
It is an addiction.
Yeah, nonsense. A source told the New York Post that the breakup was more for optics for the campaign and under pressure from Hillary's camp.
Oh.
Both families hoping for reconciliation.
Wait. Both families, as in the Clintons and the...
No, both the Wieners and the Abedins.
Oh, they're... Okay, yeah.
You know, I mean, those...
I still love that documentary, Wiener. If you guys haven't seen it, you need to see it. It's an hour, but it's one of the best hours you'll spend in front of a TV.
Well, the great thing about it is it unmasks Uma as not this kind of...
dainty little flower?
Well, the victim in all of this, that she was an active participant, even though she was reviled in parts by, Wiener's...
What?
Wiener's
ways?
By Wiener relishing his online activity.
It's an addiction, I'm telling you. I don't think I'm crazy, but...
No, I think it's...
it's certifiably a sex addict.
Yeah, I think it's a bunch of blather, and it's a silly cover story for somebody who has no discipline, and actually is worse, is a pervert. Oh, by the way...
Actually, he should be in jail.
Right, he's not...
He was texting a 15-year-old girl, which is illegal.
He is not out of... Yeah, he is not out of the woods in terms of criminal investigation and possible prosecution, and I hope he is prosecuted.
You know what? This is why they're getting back together. It's all a ruse to convince prosecutors that an addiction, I have a problem. I have the love and support now of my family. Just look, please don't send me to jail. That's what this is.
That's pathetic.
I know, but that's not beneath them to do something pathetic like that.
Yeah.
Trust me, I think that plays into this.
I hope
we don't want him to go to jail, so let's get back together.
I hope Wiener boils for this.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
In business, risks and rewards come with every decision, like moving to the cloud with Office 365. While its benefits include anywhere access and lower costs, cyber threats and user errors can quickly wipe out data and the money you save. Barracuda Essentials for Office 365 provide an added layer of security and functionality for threat protection, email migration, data recovery, and quality of service. Move securely to Office 365. Visit barracuda.com/essentials to learn more.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's opponents on Man versus Train. At the crossing, we have Rick, a 175-pound frustrated man who's running late for work. And on the tracks, we have Bull, a 1 million-pound freight train that takes a mile to stop. Let's see who comes out on top.
You can't beat a train, so don't try. Stop. Trains can't. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
If you're considering buying or selling your home, stop. Before you make another move, call me, Gary Hall of RE/MAX Central. I put my own skin in the game for you unlike any other agent. If you're buying a home, I will pay up to $700 for a general home inspection. If you're selling your home, I will pay for your consultation with a nationally recognized stager, professional photography, and a virtual tour to market your home in the best way possible. I am a longtime listener and supporter of AM 560. I rank among the top RE/MAX agents in Chicagoland. My willingness to invest so much in my clients is just one of the reasons why I am a member of the RE/MAX 100% Club with 11 years experience. I am supported by a fully staffed office 7 days a week and by the global leader RE/MAX. Call me, Gary Hall, at 847-651-1993. That's 847-651-1993.
Each RE/MAX office is independently owned and operated.
Are you buying or selling a business or starting a business? Maybe you have legal problems with a business partner or employees, or are just drowning in new regulations. You need the support of a law firm that concentrates in a wide range of business law and tax matters. You need the corporate team at Kelleher & Buckley. Whether you're a local mom and pop shop, middle market business, or a large corporation or franchise, they provide cost-effective legal solutions to help your businesses thrive. The lawyers of Kelleher & Buckley focus on targeted legal advice tailored to meet the specific needs of your business. You deserve competent legal representation from a law firm maintaining a high level of knowledge about the ever-changing laws governing businesses. One that also includes accountants and tax specialists on board to provide your business bottom-line solutions. Kelleher & Buckley, LLC of North Barrington and Chicago is a legal solution provider that also includes estate planning, asset protection, life insurance planning, and litigation. Keep your business on track. Call 847-382-9130 or online at kelleherbuckley.com.
5:57, a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens is clear. The Kennedy, 22 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 25, plus it's heavy on westbound 190. The Eisenhower, 32 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 54. Jammed from the Reagan Tollway to past North Avenue, where a crash has 2 left lanes now blocked. Stevenson, 40 minutes, 355 to the drive. Ryan, 22 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 27 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop 423. Traffic as a surface of Howard Johnson. Howard Johnson Hotels wonder, why does Sunday get all the fun? Join the Monday Fun Day movement today with Hojo's Vacation Sale. Make Monday happy. Visit hojo.com/radio to plan now and save 15%. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues after a full update from Fox News, your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Rain and drizzle late this afternoon, a high of 53. Currently 51. The news, a service of ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. 5:59. Here are the stories we're following on AM 560. The Answer this morning. 8 high school students are feared dead after an avalanche strikes a Japanese ski resort. We'll have the latest from Fox on that in just a moment. Former Chicago Public Schools CEO Paul Vallis could be given the top administrative role at cash-strapped Chicago State University later today. Chicago Police Union President Dean Angelo heading to Washington this week. He'll speak directly with President Trump and the administration about the deadly gun violence that grips the city. The union leader will also meet with Attorney General Jeff Sessions. 2 are dead, 3 seriously hurt after a Dodge vehicle slams into a building on Chicago's west side. Bulls beat the Bucks 109-94 last night. Blackhawks take on the Lightning in Tampa Bay. Cubs split a pair in the desert while the White Sox edge the Giants. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. They're putting health care aside for now.
We're moving on to tax reform. We've got the budget coming up.
White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus following Friday's failure at the House. Fox's Jared Halpern is live in Washington.
In a weekend tweet, President Trump blamed conservative groups opposed to the Republican health care plan for saving the Affordable Care Act. As Chief of Staff Reince Priebus says it may be a sign a broader coalition is needed.
I think it's more or less a warning shot that we are willing to talk to anyone. We always have been.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer on ABC's This Week says his party will help as long as the goal isn't to repeal or undermine the law.
We have ideas. They have ideas to try to improve Obamacare.
Republican leaders say the next legislative item, tax reform. Dave.
Jared, more American soldiers are going to the Middle East.
Fox News has learned the top American military commander in Baghdad, that's Army Lieutenant General Stephen Townsend, requested the additional troops. The 200 soldiers are members of the U.S. Army's elite 82nd Airborne Division stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. A U.S. defense official tells Fox the additional forces will go to Syria and Iraq to help fight ISIS.
That's Fox's Kelly Wright. The battle continues to drive the ISIS terrorists out of the city of Mosul. Sorrow in London from Melissa Cochran's brother. She was the American woman injured in last week's terror attack.
The most difficult part of all of this is that Kurt is no longer with us, and we miss him terribly.
Kurt Cochran was murdered by the terrorist as the couple was in London celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary. Russia's president is denouncing what happened yesterday when tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets. A Vladimir Putin spokesman called it unlawful. A Putin critic was arrested. He's an opposition leader. The court's ordered Alexei Navalny to pay a fine. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Do you own or run a business in Illinois that succeeded in this challenging economic environment? If so, we want to hear about it. AM 560's Business Tour 2017, presented by Signature Bank, will be highlighting business success stories. Tell us your story and be a part of a live broadcast of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Find out more and submit your information at 560theanswer.com/business. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-348-2121. That's 1-800-348-2121. 1-800-348-2121. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Mimi Järvi and the Chicago Symphony Orchestra return to Edmund Memorial Chapel at Wheaton College Friday, April 21st. The program opens with Arvo Pärt's Fratre, followed by Bartók's first violin concerto featuring CSO concertmaster Robert Chen. Closing the program is Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony. Don't miss the CSO at Edmund Memorial Chapel at Wheaton College Friday, April 21st. For tickets, visit cso.org.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth. Tune in Saturday afternoons at 2 for Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So do you want to play the blame game, I should say, or do you want to keep at it? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Of course, I'm talking about Paul Ryan pulling the vote on Obamacare replaced on Thursday, only to turn around and do the same thing on Friday because he didn't have enough votes.
Right. And I questioned Friday, why are we going to the floor for a vote if the votes aren't there?
Well,
so they weren't there?
Well, right. They were trying to whip them up until the last possible moment, and they came up short. And they could have called the vote anyway to make sure that everybody was recorded.
On record, right. That's what I was thinking.
And, and target people that that voted against it. But Paul Ryan went to President Trump and said, in the interests of caucus unity, putting people on the spot if you don't have the votes is probably not the wisest maneuver. The president agreed, and so they didn't call it.
Yeah, but then President Trump did something surprising, because I know life's not all about winning, but life's about how you handle losing. And his response to their loss, blaming the Democrats, was just mind-blowing.
When it explodes, which it will soon, if they got together with us,
and get a real health care bill, I'd be totally open to it. I think that's going to happen. I think the losers are Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, because now they own Obamacare. They own it, 100% own it.
But he was also saying, too, that no Democrats came along with us, that none of them, but he didn't even reach out to the Democrats to vote for this bill. So it's
reach out to the Democrats. That's what's actually.
That's what he said.
Well, that's actually what is being suggested now by congressmen like Adam Kinzinger, maybe even something that President Trump will consider. There was no chance to get any Democrat vote on this, and there will be no chance going forward. So it's a fool's errand. If the Republicans in the majorities can't govern, then you got a problem. If they can't advance the flag on these signature issues they said they would address if given the reins of power, then they got a problem. And a handful of Democrats, I don't care what the issue is, will not save them. And by the way, in order to get a handful of Democrats, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to water down legislation even more than it was already watered down to try and stitch together all of the disparate parts of the GOP caucus. And so you'll have members of the Freedom Caucus and, frankly, many more balk at whatever you would need to do to bring, the Democrats in their modern incarnation, which is basically, as I've said before, the 21st century socialist is just a Democrat in a hurry. So how does that work? Here's the interesting thing. So Trump threw a bit of a tantrum at first and played the blame game. He also tweeted, in addition to what you played there, he tweeted, Democrats are smiling in D.C. that the Freedom Caucus, with the help of the Club for Growth and Heritage, meaning the Heritage Foundation, have saved Planned Parenthood and Obamacare. Is that a fair criticism? That fair criticism of some of the conservative members of Congress, as well as the conservative think tanks and activist groups inside the Beltway and out. That was certainly a significant part of the discussion over the weekend. Jim Jordan, who's a member of the Freedom Caucus, our friend from Ohio, state champion wrestler.
Oh, that's right.
He was on with Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday, responding to some of those criticisms, and he said this.
Chris, in the last segment, I think you blamed the Freedom Caucus, or people blamed the Freedom Caucus, the Heritage Foundation, the Club for Growth.
That's the President's Trump.
Blamed the Speaker of the House, and even people are blaming the very guest you had on before, Reince Priebus. Instead of doing the blame game, let's get to work. Let's do the responsible thing. Let's get back to work and do what we told the voters we were going to do. Remember this bill? 17% of the country approved this bill. Maybe the fact that we opposed it, we did the country a favor, because this bill didn't repeal Obamacare. This bill didn't do what we told the American people we were going to do. So let's be responsible. Let's get back to work and do what we told the American people we were going to accomplish, which is repeal Obamacare and replace it with a patient-centered health care program.
Well, and Tom Cotton was over on Face the Nation, Senator from Arkansas, essentially saying something similar, that this is a bump in the road. We should stick to it and come up with something that is more consistent with the promise we made to the American people.
John, first I'd say the president is right that the Democrats gave us Obamacare, and the failure of this bill this week doesn't solve the problems of Obamacare. It's continuing to get worse, and our healthcare system is groaning under the weight of Obamacare.
That's true, but I don't think that ultimately they can play Pontius Pilate on this. That, you have the Republican president of the United States, Republican control of the House and the Senate, and as Obamacare continues to implode and people continue to be hurt in their pocketbook as well as their access to quality care, Republicans are going to say, because we couldn't pass something with our majorities, you're left with Obamacare, and we just wipe our hands and say it's their fault?
I know. It makes those. It's ludicrous. It's the defeat at the hands of their own party. And for Donald Trump, he goes on, I know you probably think I'm harping on him too much, but he kept saying, during the campaign, repeal and replace Obamacare. And then on Friday, no, I never said that.
I never said repeal and replace Obamacare. You've all heard my speeches. I never said repeal it and replace it within 64 days. I have a long time.
Well,
and we have a montage here, 23 seconds of him going on and on how he's going to repeal and replace Obamacare. Even said it during his acceptance speech when he won the office of the presidency.
You're making an argument against something he's not saying.
What's that?
64 days.
Oh, within 64 days?
I didn't say repeal and replace Obamacare in 64 days.
What, it's first 100 days?
It's this. Well, I don't. Was there a magic number that was offered in your montage?
Here.
We're going to repeal and replace that horror show called Obamacare. That is why we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare. We have no choice. We will be able to immediately repeal and replace Obamacare. Have to do it.
And you'll see rates go down, 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 and you'll see plans go up, up, up. You have a lot of choices.
All right, immediately, not 64 days.
Right. So that's different.
Yeah, well, what are they going to do? Because Saturday, the whole news was they're going to move on. Now they're going to do tax reform. And then yesterday, there's some hope. I mean, they sent Vice President Mike Pence out to coal country, to West Virginia, and he gave people hope.
We will end the Obamacare nightmare and give the American people the world-class health care that they deserve.
By the end of the weekend, President Trump was channeling his inner Norman Vincent Peale and talking about future legislation can be even better than what was proposed here, and extending the hope that something can still be done. So he wasn't essentially hewing to his ultimatum that it's now or never, it's do or die last week. He's left the door open for this to be revisited, and it needs to be revisited.
Yeah.
Let's go to Verlin on the south side. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I waited 2 weeks to call you guys so I could get all the information possible and wait for this thing to be over with. I am pissed. I am seriously pissed at the Freedom Caucus, the fire-breathing dragon conservatives that just want full repeal. If they would have got what they wanted, a full repeal, it would have gave Democrats a sledgehammer to knock the Republicans over the head with. It would have been 3 times as worse as 15 million people being uncovered, uninsured. It would have been like 45 to 50 million people being uninsured. I'm sick and tired of everybody wanting everything or nothing. This was the best deal possible. You can't lay it at Trump's feet. It is the Paul Ryans and Ted Cruz's of the Senate, and it's those hard.
Well, Paul Ryans. Well, wait. How is it?
I'm sorry. Rand Paul.
Oh, Rand Paul.
They always get those two names mixed up.
Okay.
But it's the Rand Paul. Rand Paul kicked it off, and then I'm 50-50 on Ted Cruz anyway. I love Rand Paul, but I'm 50-50 on him. Those guys stopped Trump's victory. I'm just sick. I'm just going to nickname them the Do Nothing Party. They don't legislate, they don't pass bills, and they don't govern. They don't do nothing. They're so used to saying no, no, no. They don't know how to put something together for the American people, for the benefit of the American people, because they're so stuck on their values and their morals that they just don't do nothing. That's the part. That's the new conservative party. Do nothing.
Thanks for the call, Verlin. That's the reaction you're going to get. I mean, you've got to be able to move a legislative agenda, and you've got to be willing to do it incrementally to a certain extent. Yes, get the best deal you can. It's kind of like in a primary where you try and, I'm going to vote for the most electable conservative. It's a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but just go with me on this. I'm going to vote for the most electable conservative. Well, this is kind of the same thing. I'm going to support the most conservative plan we can pass, understanding the diverse array of mouths we have to feed, so to speak, in both the House as well as the Senate caucuses. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. And this is why our friend Hugh Hewitt said the following about the Freedom Caucus on Meet the Press this weekend.
But I agree with the autopsy that Director Mulvaney just put out there. That loss isn't on the president. It isn't on Paul Ryan. It is on the Area 51 sub-caucus of the Freedom Caucus, which believes in legislative flying saucers that ignore the Senate and the Senate rules and the reconciliation rules. They own the loss, nobody else.
Now, I've reserved Area 51 to be Congressman Adam Schiff's district, but Hugh Hewitt has made it also the territory for certain members of the Freedom Caucus. Note that he said some members, the subset of the Freedom Caucus, because its chairman, Mark Meadows, said last week, and we played it and we discussed it, that he was trying to get to yes. There were Freedom Caucus members that were dealing on the some of the list of demands that they had. But there were, at last report, before Paul Ryan pulled the bill from a floor vote, 10 to 15 members that were still dug in, and that combined with a handful of moderates like Charlie Dent added up to more than 21, and thus not enough votes to pass.
And you know who's feeling it this morning, who's really upset, is the tanning salon industry, which I never even paid attention to. But with Obamacare, they had a 10% tax on tanning. And because of that, 10,000 stores closed. They only have 18,000 in the U.S., but 10 of them had to close. And they were, I heard the president of the Tanning Salon Association, he was just devastated.
Talk about that ballpark costing about 100,000 jobs across those 10,000 salons. And, that's why John Boehner was such a virulent opponent of Obamacare. I mean, he can't afford to see those tanning salons closed.
It was a John Boehner tax, really. I didn't want to tell anybody. But
Mike on the north side.
Yeah, hi. I'm going to be in a minority here. I applaud the Freedom Caucus. Blow that Obamacare law up and start over if you're going to put anything in. These establishment Republicans like Kinzinger and Roscom, they're just afraid. They're not going to do anything because they're afraid of the midterm elections. Well, I got news for them. There's a lot of people that voted Republican this time that wanted Obamacare gone, and they're not going to come out and vote again for you in the midterm election. You just slit your own throat.
Yeah.
I'd love to play poker with these babies because all you have to do is raise and they fold. You campaigned on getting rid of Obamacare. Get rid of it. Why should I pay for someone else's health insurance? Too much of these millennials are complaining they want everything. They want health care. They want free cell phones. They want free education. They want money to go out and drink. None of them want to work. The only reason why this country built itself up the way it was because people worked to support their families. Now when you say let the government do it, sit at home, become an art major or a philosophy major. It doesn't matter. We'll support you. It's destroyed.
Should we get rid of Mike? Should we get rid of Medicare?
Yeah.
We should.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, at least you're
can't afford it.
At least you're consistent, intellectually consistent. Thanks for the call, Mike. Tom and Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I wonder how many of them have to lose the next election, and they have to run every 2 years. And if they can't win their primaries with 80-90%, they're toast because the people that vote against them in the primary are not going to come out and vote for guys like Roscom and all these other guys that say, well, give us everything. We're not going to go along with Trump. Give us everything or give us nothing.
Well, wait. Roscom voted for it.
Yeah, we had him.
I mean, he was going to vote for it. We had him on the show. He said he was on board.
Well, you're right. Well, you're right. What you're right about is that they didn't vote. They didn't vote on anything. But guys like Roscom, Holcomb, and the punk, and he's an even bigger punk than Terry McAuliffe, this guy Adam Kinzinger, they were not on board with voting, and they were not encouraging anybody else to vote. Where were they? At the last minute, they were counted as a no vote by Paul Ryan because at the last minute they were still undecided.
No, Holmgren was still undecided, but Roscom and Kinzinger were both yes votes. I mean,
they all have to run in less than 2 years. And a year from now, if they face a primary challenge and that guy gets 40, 50%, or 40, 45% of the vote, even if they win their primary, the people that voted against them in the primary will stay home. We're not going to support these guys when we could have gotten something, and now we have nothing but egg on our face.
Thanks for the call, Tom. The Freedom Caucus is down a man because Ted Poe is a conservative Republican from Texas. Said, I'm out of here. I've resigned from the House Freedom Caucus. In order to deliver on the conservative agenda we've promised the American people for 8 years, we must come together to find solutions to this country forward. Saying no is easy, leading is hard, but that is what we were elected to do. Leaving this caucus will allow me to be a more effective member of Congress and advocate for the people of Texas. It's time to lead. So there, the frustration abounds. And
still, there were so many protests this weekend for like anti-Trumpers. We're at the Trump Tower, and I said, "Why are you protesting? You won. We're still funding Planned Parenthood. You won." And they didn't know. Like, no, we got to keep the fight going. Okay.
They're protesting to protest.
Yeah, and then in Huntington Beach, California, it got a little ugly. Did you see this video? Get off it! So an anti-Trumper was getting attacked, and it just turned into a big scrum, and it ended up 5 people got arrested.
That could have just as easily been the Freedom Caucus internal deliberations.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Today, mainly cloudy, some drizzle late this afternoon, so bring an umbrella with you. But it's fairly warm and humid, a high of 53 degrees. Tonight into the 30s we go with an evening shower likely. Tomorrow, no rain, but mostly cloudy skies, a high of 51. And we could see the sun, hopefully, by Wednesday. Let's go into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. A lot of people on spring break this week. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. With that drizzle around O'Hare, it's heavy on the eastbound Adams Tollway from the Tri-State to the Kennedy. Those delays continue on the Kennedy to around Lawrence. 25 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 30. The Edens is 20 minutes. Lake Cook to the junction. Outbound fine at 19. The Eisenhower. On the inbound side, it's fairly routine. 35 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. But outbound, there was a crash near North Avenue. It's really heavy from Manheim to North Avenue. 46 minutes, downtown to Thorndale. Stevenson, 47 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 36. Ryan, 24 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 25 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop 421. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
What's that noise?
That's the home security guy. He's installing our alarms.
You're gonna be safe as clams when I'm done drilling this sucker in.
Yeah, maybe we should have gone with Simply Safe.
The neighbors love theirs. They set it up in half an hour. No drilling, no wires, no installation fee. And 24/7 professional monitoring is only $15 a month with no long-term contracts.
I'll just pop a rug over this hole. It'll be fine.
Go to simplysafe.com/radio now to get free shipping on your order and a free keychain remote worth $25. simplysafe.com/radio.
When you think about spring, what comes to mind? Baseball, tulips, spring cleaning? How about cleaning up your home? Hi, Amy Jacobson here to tell you about our good friends at CertaPro Painters. Spring has arrived, and it's a great time to focus on your exterior painting. Don't deny how ugly it is. You know, the chipping, peeling, eyesore of a front porch. So do what I did and call CertaPro Painters now. 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. They really are the best in the business. They're clean, responsible, talented. They increased our property values. They're such a top-notch company. They've been around for 25 years and counting. So do what I did and experience the CertaPro difference. 1-800-GO-CERTA or CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
They are here, circling over your head, and they're tracking you down. You feel overwhelmed, like you can't escape. You need a solution to get your back taxes filed, to put your life back on track. You need someone who can keep the vultures at bay and work directly with the IRS to leverage every opportunity to settle your tax debt. Mary Karpowitz, CEO of Comprehensive Tax Solutions, is licensed to represent you before the IRS. Don't let the IRS threaten you. You should never need to speak to them directly. Mary does that for you. Comprehensive Tax Solutions will help you settle your entire IRS tax debt for up to 85% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest if you qualify. Comprehensive Tax Solutions, family owned in Chicagoland, can be a lifesaver for you. Call 708-478-6770, 708-478-6770, or go to resolveyourtaxproblems.com. Call 708-478-6770 now.
Hey, March is National Sleep Awareness Month, and we all know how important a good night's sleep is to your health. And many of us have sleep-related issues. Why? Well, because of our pillow. So MyPillow has a March offer. Through March, you'll receive a 50% discount on the 4-pack. That's 2 premium MyPillows, 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows. Now with MyPillow, you can move the patented fill to give you the support you need, where you need it, on your neck and back. You'll wake up feeling refreshed, renewed, no more stiff neck or headache. You'll get into deep sleep faster and stay there longer, I guarantee it. They're made in the US of A and have a 10-year warranty, and it's washable and dryable with that 60-day money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy. And if you've been putting off purchasing a MyPillow, well, it's time to finally start getting a great night's sleep. I know I do. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use the promo code Amy.
Pat Boone here with an urgent question for every American with a bank savings account, stock portfolio, or 401k retirement account. Today, we know nothing that's posted online is truly private or safe from being hacked. including our national secrets held by the CIA, NSA, and top intelligence agencies. That being the case, what can you do to protect your hard-earned wealth? Well, one book explains it all. Don't bank on it. From the most respected source I know of, Swiss America. And get this, for a limited time, the first 500 callers can get a free copy. Call 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646 now. Learn how to protect your money, and do it now. Call 800-289-2646. Learn how to protect your money against what even the CIA cannot protect. 800-289-2646 for your free copy of Don't Bank on It.
AM 560, The Answer. Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Dan and Amy, Paul Ryan receiving the brunt of the criticism for the failure to move Obamacare replaced through the House last week. And I got to say, it's a bit curious to me because, on the one hand, I understand he's not the kind of old-time backslapping speaker who whips his caucus based on the power of his personality. He's a wonk.
Yeah, but he's a geek.
But I don't understand some of the criticisms. Like Mark Levin said of Paul Ryan, you failed to develop a plan that embraced market capitalism. You did not involve the GOP conservatives in the early phases of drafting your plan. You tried to force this plan through, adopting a few changes, but mostly continued big government ideas and much of Obamacare's essential elements. The failure to govern is on the GOP leadership, even while he suggested that Donald Trump deserved no blame for the failure.
Well, Donald Trump and Paul Ryan, I thought, worked together to try and get this passed to whip up the votes.
They did, and there was also reports that Trump was less persuasive than he might have otherwise been because of his failure to have great command of the details of the legislation.
And the bowling parties, I guess, didn't work. But President Trump, I should say, was pretty radio silent on Twitter on Saturday. Then all of a sudden he promoted, watch Judge Jean Pirro's story on Fox, and she came out swinging.
Paul Ryan needs to step down as Speaker of the House. The reason? He failed to deliver the votes on his health care bill, the one trumpeted to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Screaming the whole hour.
The one that he had 7 years to work on, the one he hid under lock and key in the basement of Congress.
Okay, all right.
But that's what. So
this
that
is why
everybody
she's
thought,
a television judge.
Well, everybody thought that
this is a subliminal message from Donald Trump to Paul Ryan because he tweeted about it. Then you turn on, that's the first thing. Not good evening. It's Paul Ryan said resign.
First of all, that's what she said is not true. That was under lock and key
in the basement of the House.
I mean, all of this done in secret stuff. The President of the United States was meeting with members of the Freedom Caucus, going over their list of demands, which was reported in the Washington Examiner last week. None of this is the stuff of cloak and dagger, as some would make it out to be. And Paul Ryan resigning is absurd. First of all, this can continue even if you move towards move to your focus to tax reform. You can run parallel tracks. You could do more than one thing at a time, and you need to with so many things to do. So no member of the Freedom Caucus has said anything about making a play on Paul Ryan. Nobody's seriously talking about deposing him. And as bad as Thursday and Friday were, and they were bad, that is a setback for this administration. There's no other way to describe it. But it's not over. I mean, Jeanine Pirro is...
They talk like that. How'd you like to have her as a wife? Hi, honey, I'm home.
She's just unserious. This is why she couldn't even get through her announcement speech when she tried to run very briefly against Hillary Clinton for U.S. Senate in New York. She's just a rolling disaster. I honestly, she's a good example of why I don't watch virtually any of the cable news networks. These shows and some of these personalities, and that's really the limit of them, are unwatchable. And Jeanine Pirro, as an officer of the court, to engage in kind of that fact-free demagoguery is a little embarrassing, frankly.
Well, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, a former KGB agent will be here. And later, Melania's special request for the White House staff. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 8 high school students believed to be dead after an avalanche at a Japanese ski resort. We're monitoring that story this morning as 6 students are said to be severely hurt. More than 30 made it out safely. Britain's Home Secretary blasting the encrypted messaging services like Facebook's WhatsApp. Amber Rudd telling the BBC this morning those services gave terrorists in London a place to hide. Rudd says the man behind the terror attack in London last week used WhatsApp just before the rampage that left 4 dead and many others hurt. European Union this morning approving the proposed merger of Dow Chemical and DuPont, saying the company's commitments to divest have addressed some of its concerns about the $62 billion deal. The White House moving on from Obamacare to tax cuts. Budget Director Nick Mulvaney on NBC's Meet the Press.
The president wants to do a lot of things and is not willing to do what other politicians would do.
Mulvaney says Democrats now shoulder the blame when Obamacare breaks. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Democrats will try and work with the president to get things done.
If he aims a proposal aimed at the middle class and the poor people, doesn't give breaks to the rich, we could work with them. But I don't think they're headed in that direction, and they're going to repeat the same mistake they made on Trump Care.
We're following developments in Cincinnati this morning. Dan and Amy have talked about it with you, a mass shooting at a club there, the largest of its kind in the U.S. this year. This woman was a witness to the gunfire.
Boom, 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 constantly. Until that gun was probably empty. It was nonstop. It was so scary. All I could think was I'm finna die.
The shooting happened early yesterday morning at the Cameo nightclub. Investigators believe several people fired the shots. 1 person killed, 15 wounded, 1 critically. A man accused in Saturday's deadly shooting on the Las Vegas Strip will make his first court appearance this morning. The 55-year-old man started shooting inside a double-decker tour bus, according to police, for no apparent reason. A Sprint race car driver is dead after a serious weekend crash. 42-year-old David Steele was killed competing in a tournament in Bradenton, Florida. Former Chicago Public Schools CEO Paul Vallis could be given the top administrative role at cash-strapped Chicago State University today. And the Chicago Police Union president, Dean Angelo, headed to Washington. He'll speak with President Trump about gun violence and Attorney General Jeff Sessions. And if you're a tourist looking for an out-of-this-world or under-this-world type of adventure, you'll soon be able to explore the site of one of the most infamous disasters in maritime history. A London-based company is planning to take people down to the wreck of the RMS Titanic. Your cost? $100,000. Nikola Mirotic dropped in a game-high 28. Bulls beat the Bucks 109-94. The news service of Howard Johnson Hotels. And they wonder, why does Sunday get all the fun? Join the Monday Fun Day movement at Howard Johnson today with Hojo's vacation sale. Make Monday happy. Visit hojo.com/radio to plan now and save 15%. 6:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager is on board with the Republicans' replacement for Obamacare.
I support the health care bill that the Republicans are advancing, though it is not perfect, though it is not as conservative as one would wish, for the exact same reason that I supported Donald Trump for president. We don't have a choice. Not in the real world.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period.
Is little Stevie no longer little and still living at home? Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. I have great news. It's never been easier to buy a new home with Townstone Financial than today. Trying to get Stevie to move out of the house? Well, we have a program that he only needs 1% of the purchase price as a down payment. We also have another program if Stevie has a lot of student loan debt, where the parents can co-sign on the loan. Lastly, we have a census tract program where we can give the buyer the lesser of $20,850 or 5% of their loan amount towards closing costs and down payment assistance. You heard that correctly. On a $200 $200,000 loan amount, you could receive up to $10,000 towards your down payment and closing costs. Please give me a call now at 312-896-2110. Both programs have certain limitations and restrictions, so we need to make sure you qualify and the property meets the guidelines. Remember, nobody values your home purchase business more than Townstone, so dial 312-896-2110 or go to townstone.com.
Listen to the Townstone Financial Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. here on AM 560. Townstone Financial is an Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
6:36 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. On the northbound tri-state, it's really heavy this morning from Roosevelt to North Avenue. There was an earlier crash on the outbound Eisenhower at North Avenue, and it's still heavy there, so perhaps some folks are diverted. Currently, the outbound Ike time has improved a bit. It's about 40 minutes from downtown to Thorndale, go central to 9th Avenue and Manheim to North Avenue. The inbound Eisenhower, that's 38 minutes Thorndale to downtown. The Eden's 21 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 20. Kennedy, 30 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 35. Stevenson, 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 37. Ryan is 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic is a service of Howard Johnson. Howard Johnson Hotels wonder, why does Sunday get all the fun? Join the Monday Fun Day movement today with Hojo's Vacation Sale. Make Monday happy. Visit hojo.com/radio to plan now and save 15%. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Mainly cloudy, cooler, rain and drizzle late this afternoon, high 53. Currently 51 at O'Hare, 48 along the lakefront. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Amy, do you watch the show The Americans? Yeah, The Americans on FX.
I do not.
I
can't even do it as a radio bit. No, I don't.
I gotta say, I started to lose interest after season 2, but season 1 was great. It was really good. It's about Carrie Russell, from Felicity or whatever that show was.
Oh, yeah.
She's plays the female lead, and then some other dude plays the male lead. Who cares? It's all about Carrie Russell. Anyway, there's Russian spies in America, embedded in America, living American lives in the 1980s during the height of the Cold War, the Reagan era. Oh, cool. But of course, serving as operatives for the Soviet government. That is a fictional show, but our next guest lived that out in real life. He is Jack Barsky, if that is his real name, and it's not. It's actually Albrecht Dietrich. He was born in 1949 in East Germany and recruited to be a communist spy. He's got a new book, Jack Barsky, his nom de plume as a spy. The new book called Deep Undercover, My Secret Life and Tangled Allegiances as a KGB Spy in America. And Jack Barsky joins us now. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. And so, kind of give us the story starting from when you were recruited to coming to America to flipping sides.
So I guess this is a morning show. I have to be really brief. But you know, you watch the Americans, and there is some truth to what they're showing, except for all the the shooting and the killing and all this other stuff. But yes, I did live in the United States for 10 years undercover under this name, which, by the way, is now my real name. I'm an American citizen, and I was allowed to keep this name, which was stolen from some young person some person who died very young. Anyway, 10 years. I was trained in Berlin, and I'm originally from Germany. Trained in Berlin and Moscow for about 5 years, prepared for an undercover mission, which had a lot of twists and turns to it, and didn't wind up as successful as they had the Russians had planned, and we all had hoped for. And I'm glad it didn't.
What was the mission?
The mission was to, embed myself in American society and be ready when things get really bad. When let's say there's a shooting war and all the diplomats are kicked out, and so how do you get information from the other side of the firing line, so to speak? That was one thing. The other thing was to just find people that are of interest and profile them and send information back to see if they can be recruited, and fundamentally get as close to folks who have interesting information as possible, and then send that information back to the center. The last thing was very difficult for me to do because I was not in a position in society to meet like politicians and decision makers.
But you were able to embed yourself. You went to you graduated from a good liberal arts college in this country. You got a job at MetLife as essentially an IT guy. So kind of getting a college degree here, getting a job here. And what were you doing while you were kind of living this American life in terms of the intelligence gathering?
Well, as I just indicated, this was pretty much it. I also sent reports as somebody who actually lived in the country and interacted with real people in a fashion that Russians, the so-called resident agents, diplomats who were actually working for the KGB couldn't. So I also sent reports back to, how the American public is reacting to certain events that were occurring and so forth. I also did a little bit of industrial espionage, collected a set of, state-of-the-art computer programs that I have no idea whether they were ever used or not.
And you also became, you fell in love while you were here as well. Did that help you fall in love with America?
That's a good question, and the answer is yes and yes.
So you
Let's
weren't
talk about love early in the morning on a Monday.
You weren't hooked up with Carrie Russell. They didn't matchmake for you. You met.
No. Actually, there was a thought because this is not one of my favorite things to talk about because I was married twice. I was married in Germany, and at the same time I got married here. And initially there was a thought to send my German wife together with me, but this is, as you may understand, this is not a job that too many people can handle. It's too much pressure, and so she stayed back, and we actually had a son who I am now in contact with, and he calls me Dada. So that's a good part of the story.
Well, and also too, your wife that you met here, Penelope, she was here illegally from Guyana, right?
Illegally, yes.
Yeah, illegally,
and,
right.
And there's one of the twists in my story that me as an illegal managed to make an illegal legal, and so she was legal while I was not.
Oh.
All right. I think we should put you in charge of all this investigating of Putin that's going on in D.C. with some of these rabbits you pulled out of your hats here. So, you're married. You've got a job here. what was it like to kind of live this double life? Were there any moments where you almost revealed yourself, or anybody looked at you askance and said, "What is the deal with that Jack Barsky guy"?
There's a good friend of mine there's really only one person who once came to me and said, "You know what? There's something wrong with you. There's a big hole in your story. I don't want to really get into it, but because he was a friend, he didn't dig. Other than that, no. And what happened, though, when the FBI started investigating me, they had a bug in my kitchen, and at that point, I and my wife had a big argument, and I spilled the beans to her. Oh. And it was all a testimony, and they had it on record, and that's how they finally were able to move in and say hello to me.
So, but then later on, the KGB assumed you had died?
I told them that when they asked me, when they told me, they commanded me to return to the other side of the Iron Curtain. I told them that I wouldn't go, and the reason was that I had contracted AIDS and I would seek treatment in this country. And in those days, AIDS was fundamentally a death sentence, and so what they determined was I was going to die anyway, so they told my German wife that I died.
Well, wait, but was that a cover story, or did you actually contract AIDS?
Oh, no, it was a cover story.
Yeah, okay. Well,
just using your survival skills.
Well, but it's interesting. It's interesting that they wouldn't. You're talking about a spy, somebody who puts on cover stories for a living, and that they wouldn't check that out.
Well, let me tell you something. If you want to find somebody who is a good undercover spy, one of the most important characteristics is that this person needs to be very, very honest. And so they actually trusted me. We had
interesting.
A long relationship of mutual trust, and I broke that, and I broke that at a moment when it worked.
How did rewinding all the way back to growing up in East Germany? How were you recruited in the first place? Was it did they identify people? You're obviously a smart guy. You graduated with honors from Baruch College. You were working as an IT guy. Do they recruit people based on kind of intellect and talent, or is it a personality profile? How did you first get approached?
I'm actually smarter than you think.
Well, I believe you.
I was a national honor student. I got a national scholarship in East Germany that was handed out to 60 to 70 individuals a year. And so since the KGB and East German intelligence always recruited from the top, I was an easy pick.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, before we let you go, I wanted to ask you about President Trump claimed via a tweet that President Obama had tapped his phones, and then we had Judge Napolitano from Fox News saying that the M15 did it. Do you think that that's possible?
It's MI5, and
MI5.
I think it's idiotic, and I think Fox did the right thing. And I like Judge Napolitano, but I think what happens to him, as to a lot of news people, he thought he needed to have yet another story that keeps him in the limelight. I'm sorry, and it's too bad. There is way too much speculation and innuendo going on with regard to who hacked whom. And oh, by the way, part of that is I made a couple of days ago. I made the cover page of the National Enquirer, and if you Google that and read that page, that's sort of the crest of the wave of stupidity that we're dealing with here. This is intelligence, and intelligence. One of the features of intelligence is that it's secret, and most everybody doesn't know what's going on, and speculation is really it's not what that doesn't get you anywhere.
I note from some of the write-ups on your book and your story that you were raised an atheist. No surprise there. Now a strong Christian. Your story bears some striking resemblances to Whittaker Chambers' story.
Okay. I don't know whether he became a Christian or not.
He did.
But what is proven now that he was a spy for the KGB, which was disputed for a long time.
Right.
there's no documented evidence that this in fact was the case.
But ultimately defected and worked for America, instrumental in the Alger Hiss conviction for espionage, and also converted to Christianity too. So I mean, it's just kind of interesting.
I got this all wrong. Alger Hiss was the one.
That was
right.
Executed. Right.
Whitaker Chambers came out. I did not know, honestly, that he became a Christian.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he's doing well in heaven.
Well, I hope he is too, and I'm glad that you're doing well here in America, and I hope your book does well. The book is Deep Undercover: My Secret Life and Tangled Allegiances as a KGB Spy in America by Jack Barsky. Jack, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. Good morning.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Well, today mainly cloudy. We're going to have rain again by this afternoon, so bring your umbrella if you're heading out the door. A high of 53 degrees. Tonight, an evening shower in spots, low of 38. And tomorrow, no rain, but still cloud coverage, a high of 51. We could see the sun by Wednesday. Let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. Eden's inbound. Delay started 2E. It's 24 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy's now 40 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 37. The Eisenhower, 43 minutes. From Thorndale to the post office, outbound it's 40. Stevenson, 56 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, and 44 from the Tri-State. Outbound 41 minutes to 355. There's a pothole near Pulaski in the center lane. It's caused some flat tires on that outbound side. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, heavy. Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis, really heavy. From Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue Curve. The other tollways look good. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
The website, upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do here on this show each morning. And I would strongly encourage you to check out long-form interview with David Keene, one of the conservative intellectual heavyweights of the last 40 years. Started with Buckley, was a close confidant of Reagan's, and has some advice for Trump and congressional Republicans. Go to upstream-ideas.com and sign up today.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Hiring picking up in 11 states last month. Pilots claim standby passengers are left behind. The Trump family launches a new hotel chain. Those stories next. Hi, folks. Are you an individual or business who owes at least $10,000 to the IRS? Are your wages being garnished? Has your bank account been levied? Do you have years of unfiled tax returns and you're losing sleep at night worrying about it all? Rapid Resolution Tax Group is a team of tax attorneys, enrolled agents, and tax professionals who have helped thousands of people with problems just like yours. They're accredited with the Better Business Bureau, and they guarantee same-day contact with the IRS. If you qualify, Rapid Resolution Tax Group can work towards settling your tax debt for less, removing penalties and fees, and stopping levies and garnishments. They're not intimidated by the IRS, and they promise not to let the IRS intimidate you. Call the professionals at Rapid Resolution Tax Group. They're at 800-601-2929. 800-601-2929. That's 800-601-2929. The Labor Department reporting hiring picked up in 11 states last month compared with January, mostly unchanged everywhere else. The biggest job gains in Montana, Nebraska, Arkansas, and New Mexico. The head of the pilots union says American Airlines is leaving thousands of standby passengers at the gate to make sure that flights depart on time. Dan Carey says nearly 20,000 passengers were denied boarding last month, even though there were empty seats. The Trump family launching a new hotel chain. It will feature the first Trump-run hotels not to bear the family name. The modern hotels will offer rooms at $200 to $300 a night, about half the usual price in a Trump luxury chain hotel. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
How would you like to lose 10, 15, even 25 pounds in the next 30 days? Well, I'm about to tell you how you can do it for free right now. You've probably heard of Beachbody or seen their workout DVDs on TV like P90X, Insanity, and 21 Day Fix. Well, they just launched a beta trial of their new online video service called Beachbody On Demand, and they're inviting you to use it for free for 30 days. Now, here's the catch. In return, all they want is for you to let them know what you think of their new on-demand service so they can make it the best fitness and weight loss site ever created. Just text the word STREAM to 303030 and you can do 30 days of P90X, Insanity, Brazil Butt Lift, or one of 500 other Beachbody workouts for free. And that means you can lose 10, 20, even 30 pounds without paying a dime. Just text STREAM to 303030. That's STREAM to 303030 to get started for free right now.
Message and data rates may apply. Membership fees apply after 30-day free trial. Cancel anytime.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My water heater broke down.
Sorry, but your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover water heater breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my water heater?
I'm afraid not.
But his water heater could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus components of 20 other major home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-300-2127. Home insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-300-2127. That's 1-800-300-2127. 1-800-300-2127.
Are all insurance agents the same? Well, I'd like to think I will work a little harder to give you the personal touch you need when it comes to protecting your family and hard-earned assets. My name is Tom Murray, and I'm an agent with Allstate Insurance, and we take our motto very seriously. You are, in fact, in good hands with us. I'm a longtime listener of AM 560. We have much in common, and believe me when I say I share your values and concerns. And I have never earned less than a 5-star rating with every single social media venue like Google, Yelp, and others because I deal directly with you and your concerns. Call me, Tom Murray, directly, and let's see if we can save you some money and make sure that the insurance you have on your life, auto, home, and health is the right coverage for you. Give me 15 minutes, and if I can't save you some money, I'll give you a $10 gift card to Starbucks. 847-380-1590 or Google Tom Murray Allstate and visit my website. 847-380-1590. That's 847-380-1590.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
My favorite story, Melania Trump, I guess she is going to be moving into the White House, and she's issued an executive order of her own. She apparently wants her own bed. She does not share a bed with Donald Trump. This is according to American Update. They said that inside sources have told U.S. Weekly as well that the 46-year-old Slovenian stunner does not sleep in the same bed with the president, even during the rare times when they are in the same city. So they have separate bedrooms, one Trump insider told the magazine, and that they never spend the night together ever, which I don't know if I believe that.
They had to at least once, otherwise how do you get Barron?
Right, who's 10 years old. So I guess she hasn't kept it hidden that they don't sleep in the same room. But I've learned over the past few weeks that a lot of married couples do not sleep in the same bed.
Or house.
Or even, exactly. I mean, right now,
Zip code.
He's in D.C. and he's home alone.
Yeah.
Donald Trump
Just
is
like
home
Macaulay
alone.
Culkin.
But is this a big deal? I mean, do you think maybe, because he seems like a snorer, doesn't he? President Trump seems like he'd have a CPAP machine or something.
Although he doesn't drink, so drinking
No.
induces snoring.
You're right. He doesn't drink.
But he is kind of a big dude.
Yeah.
Not really in great shape. I don't know.
This is his form of exercise, remember, Dan? When he's out campaigning.
Flailing,
and
his
he said this is
gesticulations.
it's like chair exercises.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sleeping with the enemy. No,
Jackie O had her own bedroom.
Yeah, I don't like to sleep. I mean, I think everybody should be in a hyperbaric chamber like I am, but
or hyperbolic chamber, as I call it.
Well, it could be one of those too, or just But I mean, if you've got those masks on, those beauty masks like I like to wear, you don't want somebody to roll over and slap you in the face and ruin your mask and thus your, the tightness of your
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently
those are all legitimate concerns.
That's a bit. Once they get the bed in, now I don't know. We should find out that if they're in separate bedrooms. Like she could be in the Jackie O room, and he could be in the President Kennedy suite. So,
maybe Melania and Ivanka can do a bunk bed.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we will be discussing
fake news.
But first, let's go into the real news. Here's Mike Scott.
Chicago police union to meet with the president. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Republicans are regrouping.
I believe that it's time for the party to start governing.
White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus also says they'll reach out to moderate Democrats after Friday's failed attempt to get a vote on the bill to replace Obamacare. Fox's Jared Halpern live in Washington.
President Trump has blamed conservatives like the House Freedom Caucus for saving the Affordable Care Act. Now that group has one fewer member.
Sometimes you guys say yes. And this was the time to repeal Obamacare because now it's the law of the land.
Texas Republican Ted Poe resigned from the House Freedom Caucus in a statement, he says, because it will allow him to be a more effective member of Congress. White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus says the administration is now moving on to tax reform. Dave.
Jared, the U.S. is going to send 200 more soldiers to Syria and Iraq to help battle ISIS.
I think at the moment we are at a very important juncture where Daesh is on the retreat.
Iraqi Prime Minister al-Abadi tells Fox he thinks they'll succeed in a few weeks, finally driving Daesh, or ISIS, out of the city of Mosul the terrorists took control of a few years ago. We're hearing today from the family of the American couple victimized in last week's terror attack in London, where Fox's Simon Owen is live.
Dave, relatives of Kurt Cochran, who was killed, saying they bear no ill will towards the attacker, saying they take inspiration from Mr. Cochran's approach.
His whole life was an example of focusing on the positive.
That's Clint Payne, Kurt Cochran's brother-in-law. Mr. Cochran's wife, Melissa, was injured. Her mother, Sandra, saying the couple had enjoyed a dream vacation.
Their last 2 weeks here was amazing for the two of them. It was perfect.
The couple visiting Europe to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary. Dave?
Simon, 5 people are still hospitalized the day after a shootout in a Cincinnati nightclub that left 1 man dead. Police are still looking for the gunman. Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
.49 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities investigating a deadly hit-and-run accident. It happened on the Tri-State in East Hazel Crest. State police say a vehicle ran over a woman last night near Halstead. Car sped away following the incident. The victim pronounced dead at the scene. Former Chicago Public Schools CEO Paul Vallis could be given the top administrative job at the cash-strapped Chicago State University today. Chicago State dealing with a number of issues, including dropping enrollment and a rapidly declining graduation rate. Chicago Police Union President Dean Angelo heading to Washington later this week to speak with President Trump about the deadly gun violence in the city. Sun-Times says the union leader will also meet with Attorney General Jeff Sessions during the trip. Chicago aldermen plan to introduce an ordinance later this week designed to crack down on those illegal party buses in the city. The measure follows a rash of shootings on board party buses in recent years. City Council did pass an ordinance last fall requiring bus drivers to take action against riders who act unruly or violently. An undisclosed medical issue could affect whether former Chicago Mayor Richard Daley must give a deposition in a federal lawsuit alleging he ignored evidence of widespread torture by a former police commander. We will get an update on this developing story later today because there is a status hearing scheduled in the case in front of District Judge Amy St. Eve for this morning. 2 are dead, 3 are seriously hurt after a Dodge Durango slams into a building on Chicago's west side. Chicago man outside with his 1-year-old boy has been arrested after police allegedly found a handgun and marijuana in his baby stroller. Anthony Kennedy is now held on $100,000 bail. And authorities in Iowa say Bears cornerback DeAndre Hall and a Green Bay Packer player were arrested outside a bar in Cedar Falls. Hall was cited for disorderly conduct, among other charges. Bulls beat the Bucks 109-89 last night, behind 28 from Niko Mirotic. Blackhawks take on the Lightning in Tampa Bay. Desert Baseball, Cubs split a pair. White Sox trim the Giants. The news service of Howard Johnson. Howard Johnson Hotels wonder, why does Sunday get all the fun? Join the Monday Fun Day movement today with Hojo's vacation sale. Make Monday happy. Visit hojo.com/radio to plan now and save 15%. 7:04, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
In business, risks and rewards come with every decision, like moving to the cloud with Office 365. While its benefits include anywhere access and lower costs, cyber threats and user errors can quickly wipe out data and the money you save. Barracuda Essentials for Office 365 provide an added layer of security and functionality for threat protection, email migration, data recovery, and quality of service. Move securely to Office 365. Visit barracuda.com/essentials to learn more.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's opponents on Man vs. Train. At the crossing, we have Rick, a 175-pound frustrated man who's running late for work. And on the tracks, we have Bull, a 1 million-pound freight train that takes a mile to stop. Let's see who comes out on top.
You can't beat a train, so don't try. Stop. Trains can't. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-348-2121. That's 1-800-348-2121. 1-800-348-2121. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
7:06. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. On the far northwest side, Grand Avenue at Melvina. Far west, you might say. This is the area west of Austin, east of Narragansett. Grand Avenue's closed there right now. Police are investigating a reported shooting. Park City, southbound 41 near 120, or just south of 120. There's a crash in the left lane. The Edens is 22 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy, 45 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 20 from Montrose, 17 on the Express. Outbound, it's 36 minutes to O'Hare. The Eisenhower, 45 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 38. Stevenson, 57 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's 39 minutes. The Ryan, 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive still good. Northbound Tri-State. Stop and go Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis and really heavy. Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue Curve. The other tollways are still okay. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Patchy morning fog, otherwise a mostly cloudy day with periods of rain and drizzle late in the afternoon, along with a shower response in the evening. High 53, cloudy night, low 38. Mostly cloudy tomorrow with a high 51, and a partly cloudy night with the low again, 38. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
51 at O'Hare, 49 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Tasty Catering. Get top-tier catering for a budget-friendly price. Plan your party now at tastycatering.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Question, is Sean Hannity bad for America? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. That's not my question. That's Sean Hannity's question to Ted Koppel in a piece that Koppel did for CBS Sunday Morning News yesterday. And here is Koppel's answer.
We have to give some credit to the American people that they're somewhat intelligent and that they know the difference between an opinion show and a news show.
Yeah.
You're cynical. Look at that. Yeah.
I am cynical because,
You think we're bad for America? You think I'm bad for America?
Yeah.
You do?
In the long haul, I think you
Really?
and all these opinion
That's
shows.
sad, Ted.
No, you know why?
That's sad.
Because you're very good at what you do, and because you have attracted a significantly
You
more
are selling the
influential.
American
let me
people
finish the
short.
Let me finish the sentence
I'm
before
listening.
you do that.
With all due respect.
Yes,
Take the floor.
you have attracted people who are determined that ideology is more important than facts.
Is that a fair criticism that it's on cable news channels? It's ideology more important than facts, and that's why people like Sean Hannity can't be trusted, according to Ted Koppel. 312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA turnkey.pro text line. It's interesting because last week at our little event, the first 100 Days of Trump, we all had this conversation about quote-unquote fake media, and I've got a very different opinion than Sean Hannity does, but it is not Ted Koppel's opinion.
Really? Well, what's your opinion on Sean Hannity?
Well, I mean, is he bad for America, if that's the question? No, he's not bad for America.
But he's a bit of a
that's silly.
provocateur. He's an instigator. He has some showmanship. Like, look at me. Like, he brought his own Hannity footballs to the event to throw out to the crowd. I mean, he knows how to promote his brand, and his brand is Sean Hannity.
Well, I understand.
I mean, is he doing this for the goodness of his heart? Or is he doing this to promote himself and to make money?
Well, you can do those things simultaneously. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. But here's the thing. Hannity is right when he says, look, people know that he has a point of view, and he delivers his point of view. But he interacts with guests, just like we do on this show. He interacts with guests who disagree with that point of view as well, and probably would welcome more opportunities to do so, just as I certainly would. But most on the left are afraid to engage. They rather operate in silos. Some on the right are that way, too. I'm not one of them. So that's why I think Koppel's allegation that he's somehow bad for America is stayed. And it recalls a time that I'm sure Ted Koppel reminisces about where he was one of a handful of gatekeepers. He gets to decide.
Oh.
He gets to decide whose voices are heard, and nobody else does.
Yeah,
or
but
just
he's an editor.
Or just he and Peter Jennings and
Yep.
Tom Brokaw and Dan Rather.
Yep, they're the ones who
right?
decided. They had final say in what went on the show at the nightly newscast.
And the great
Back
thing,
when that's all we had.
And the great thing about the digital age is that you don't have just a handful of gatekeepers that get to shut out opposing viewpoints. You have all of these new outlets. Some are good, some are less good. But you have more voices, more diversity of opinion, more people who can prove up by the quality of their content, the quality of their content. And what's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with that for Ted Koppel is he wants to be in charge. You get to speak and you don't. You get to be elevated and you don't. Well, go pound sand, Koppel. Norm, part of this piece that Koppel put together, of course, he talks to Norm Ornstein, who is, like David Brooks, is one of Obama's favorite Republicans because he's a Republican who spends all his time criticizing Republicans. Norm Ornstein, from the American Enterprise Institute, called the Congress under Obama, the GOP Congress, obstructionist. He thinks Obama is not liberal, but he's really super smart. I mean, he's one of those, basically cuckolded faux conservatives. Here's Norm Ornstein on the new media landscape as part of Koppel's piece.
We would watch network news shows, and we would sit there and we would have basically a common set of facts that would emerge from them. As we've moved to the new media world, the more we've got this cacophony of voices, the more you cut through it by basically shock value. And that's why people now are driven not by their own attachment to their own parties. They're driven by a hatred for those on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, is that true? I think from what you've heard just in this discussion about Obamacare replacement, there's a lot of disgust with the party that people identify with. There's a lot of frustration that people have with the party they identify with. So I don't know that it's just unified around opposition to the party they don't identify with. I think it's more, and this is the populist revolt that was visited upon this country in November, more a general disgust across the spectrum, maybe a little bit less so with the party I affiliate with versus the party I don't, but it's more about kind of policy choices than partisan affiliation. So I think Ornstein, the whole kind of common set of facts, there's truth to that. That's what media does. It builds community around around common information, but it doesn't mean that it should just be, the halcyon days of 3 or 4 networks.
Right. But I mean, is ideology more important than facts when it comes to people such as Sean Hannity? John Oliver. I mean, there's others. Tommy Lauren. I mean, do you choose ideology over the facts?
I think, I don't think that you have to get into making a choice between the two. Right. You should, if you have a political philosophy that you would want to see advanced in terms of translate that to policy and advance that, then you lay it out. And you take in counter arguments and respond to them. So I think you can advance a point of view and not ignore facts on the ground. Those two are not mutually exclusive. Do some do that on both sides? Sure they do. And there's no question they do. And that's the free marketplace of ideas. And people have to be discerning consumers of information. And we'll get to the 60 Minutes fake news
that was awesome.
In a minute. Here, actually, just to close out the Koppel piece, though.
Yeah.
Dean Baquet, who's the executive editor of the New York Times, he actually said something that that I agree with in his part of the conversation with Koppel.
Some of what's happening in the country is healthy. There is an ability now for people to talk to each other. We're all focused on the people who say nasty things to each other and who say nasty things out loud. But that's not all that's going on. Call me a naive Southerner, but you can't convince me that this is not a more open, wide world, and that as much as it sort of throws us off our game a little bit, meaning the press, maybe we needed to have ourselves thrown off our game a little bit,
Yeah, I do know. I agree with that. Tim and Rochelle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I am a conservative Republican, and I would have to say that Sean Hannity is certainly bad for America.
Why?
Well, he's too opinionated. He's too vitriolic. He's too frozen-minded ideologue, and I understand it's a shtick that makes him a lot of money. But I mean, there's proof in the pudding, or as your fruits you shall know him. And America is a completely divided and horrible, hateful kind of a place now because of the left and the right. And those of us that are in the middle that want to listen to both sides are alienated, are told, well, if you listen to the other side, you're a sellout, you're a bad, and even worse things are told to us. I mean, so I would have to say that the answer to the question if Sean Hannity would ask me, I would tell him why. And that's because you don't listen to the other side. You don't give credence to any of their points that they make that are valid. You completely throw the baby out with the fresh water. And that really bothers me as a person that's trying to be an honest man, to have ethics, and to live with my neighbors. I mean, you try and make a voice, you try and say a voice on a conservative radio station, they hang up on you in 10 seconds rather than asking you why, as a conservative, you would say something like I just did.
Well, okay. That's fair enough. Thanks for the call, Tim.
If I want to hear about the left, I listen to NPR. Can't really stomach MSNBC. And then if I want to listen to the right, I'll listen to this station. And I mean, that's how I form an opinion. But you hear, and I think there's gross exaggerations on both sides.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's a different world than when Bill Buckley was kind of the alternative to the DC press corps, and you had Firing Line, these kind of long form interviews or debate series. And Bill Buckley was a seminal intellect in a way that, few people are ever. Right. Maybe one in a generation or a handful in a generation. So it's just difficult to abide that standard for everybody with the ubiquity of outlets. So, to Tim's point, the one thing I would say, and we try and do as much as we can get agreement on this show, is put viewpoints side by side. Hear the case side by side, not screaming matches, but hear the case side by side so that people can, make up their own minds, generate their own questions.
Do you think we do that here? I mean, generally, AM 560 The Answer, does it?
We try and get as many people of the left persuasion on this show as possible. That's why we had Paul Traynor on, that guy from New Trier. But I'll take anybody. We try and get Jan Schakowsky all the time. Of course, she's not going to come on.
Well, no, that's not true, because every time I email Jan, she always responds and says, fine, I'll do it.
Except when was the last?
Well, I asked her about Creamy Bob, her husband, and she didn't want to. She didn't want to come on because she didn't want us to ask about her husband, Creamy Bob.
Okay, well, that's not wanting to come on, despite our desire. That's my point. And this happens over and over and over again. Think about all of the Democrats in power in this state.
Oh, yeah. I've reached out to Rahm Emanuel countless times, Dick Durbin countless times, and they won't come on the show.
Open invitation.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Open invitation. Come on. And that goes with left-wing philosophers and academic types and stuff. College professors we've tried to get and others. Sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't. But it's not for lack of desire. George in Libertyville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning, guys. You know, I heard that and read it, and I'll tell you, you know, the smugness of these ascot-wearing liberal leftists, and that their you know, meat and potatoes have been taken away from them, is just disgusting. I mean, my blood was boiling. And to your earlier caller, I couldn't disagree more with the guy. You know, during the midday, I listen to Dennis Prager. He has people on all the time with opposing views. And like you said, Dan, there is no side-by-side because there can't be any points made from the left side. So they choose not to come on any of the programs where they're actually going to be challenged on facts. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's guys like Ted Koppel, which is exactly why Donald Trump won.
Thanks for the call, George.
Yeah,
Ralph and Rantoul.
Yeah, good morning. I think Ted Koppel, when Sean Hannity asked the question, hey, you know, he stated, hey, I think that people are basically smart enough to know the difference between a news show and opinion show. And Ted Koppel, you know, and then the question, well, am I bad for America? Yeah, you're bad for America. I'll tell you why, because Ted Koppel spent so many years inside ABC News. He knows that the places, the houses like CBS, NBC, MSNBC, and most of the other news outlets frame their news, frame their questions, frame the sound bites, frame everything, because they are, in fact, putting out opinion that passes as news.
Yeah.
And, you know, even you look at some of the Sunday morning magazine shows like CBS News This Morning, everything's got an angle. You could almost look at it like some sort of 5-paragraph junior high school theme, where the theme for today is going to be Soviet Union good, America bad, and then the segments and the little snippets that they show all morning long during their show. You know, it's intended to make people walk away from the show going, gosh, my country sucks a little bit more than I thought it did.
Well, thanks for the call, Ralph. Here's the thing. What Ralph said about point of view journalism, that's the key point. There's fake news, which 60 Minutes covered yesterday, that we'll get to.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Real fake news that's just conjured up out of whole cloth.
Crazy.
And then there's this phrase that's being used by both the left and the right, including the President of the United States, to say, I disagree with something, or I thought the coverage was unfair, so that's fake news, that's propaganda. I had an exchange with Eric Zorn at Hugo Chavezian over at the Tribune over this weekend. Same thing. I dislike your outlet. I dislike the tone and tenor and angle of your story, so that's fake news. When people use that phrase, that's the last refuge of somebody who can't deal on the merits. So they use that dismissive fake news insult to cover their retreat. And here's what's happening. Look, the New Republic, this piece, which is the formation of my commentary this week. Leah Finnegan, the media should become a true opposition party. The New Republic, once upon a time, thought to be the liberals, the thinking liberals, outlet of record. And this has like profanity and stuff. I don't know what happened to the New Republic. The media should become the true opposition party, writes Leah Finnegan. If the press can find a way to conceptualize itself as a true opposition party, then perhaps American journalism might stand for something that would be of value to readers and viewers. Oh, right. Thank you. Thank you for just stripping away the pretense and telling us what we already know to be true, that the D.C. press corps, the Eastern Seaboard media, is the opposition party to conservatives. We know that. And the fact that they're dispensing with the pretense, that's called victory. So we shouldn't be complaining about fake news. This is the disagreement I had with Hannity. Mm-hmm. It's built into the price. And that they're owning it Now we have clear lines of demarcation, and people can make up their own minds because you have Leah Finnegan actually being honest about her point of view and her outlet's point of view, as opposed to Ted Koppel and these other venerable journalists who pretend that they were somehow objective arbiters of the passing scene, and they weren't. They were never
bullies.
that. They were never
I know,
that.
and people would bring attention to them of different stories, and no, I don't have time for it. Because they were the men. It was Peter Jennings, Tom Brokaw, Ted Koppel. They decided what was on, and Dan Rather.
Well, and what about what you
sexist
you were in
too.
the
I can get
industry?
into that.
You were in the industry for a long time in
yeah.
Chicago.
18 years.
How many conservative ideologues were running newsrooms at network affiliates in Chicago?
I had one news director in all those 8 states I lived in that was a moderate Republican. But he never told anybody that because we're mostly union shops and our dues went to Democratic candidates.
And so here's the thing. So now distinguish that with point of view journalism, where you're transparent about your point of view, thus the stories you select and the angles from which you cover them, to 60 Minutes, Scott Pelley yesterday, talking about actual fake news. This is the manufactured news out of whole cloth, the conspiracy theories and so forth. They talked to a guy at the Trade Desk, which is a company that helps companies steer clear of this fake news stuff on their website. And listen to what he had to say about, about who is susceptible to this.
These news stories are fakes.
They're definitely not fake.
They're lies.
They're not lie.
We would basically join whatever group it is that you're trying to target on Facebook. And once they kind of took the bait, so to speak.
No, that's not it. We'll have to effort that later. But the bottom line is this guy says, look, both liberals and conservatives are affected. The interesting thing, though, he says, is on the left, it is the affluent and the well-educated. The affluent and the well-educated most susceptible because they're the most likely to live in silos where they only consume content that reinforces their preconceived notion rather than being challenged by consuming, content that is of a center-right perspective. And so that's when you get susceptible to being defrauded because you're so intent on advancing your point of view that you won't even kind of contemplate a countervailing point of view. A really interesting piece on 60 Minutes last night.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
As a parent, you want what's best for your children. That means sending them to a school where they'll get the superior education they deserve, and that also shares your values. That can be tricky these days, as public schools have changed and private schools can be expensive. Your household budget has already been cut to the bone, and it's hard to imagine where you'll find that extra money. Well, there's help to lessen that financial burden and provide your child with the very best education at half the cost. At AM560 The Answer, we work with private schools throughout the Chicagoland area to provide tuition for families at half the normal cost. Just log on to halfpriceschools.com and you'll find some of Chicagoland's finest private schools, from preschool all the way through high school, at half the cost. And chances are there's a school right in your neighborhood. Invest in your child's education and future at halfpriceschools.com. A limited number of half-price vouchers are available. Go to halfpriceschools.com now.
Harvey owns a building and wants to save money by making his heating and cooling system more energy efficient.
Yes?
But Harvey's afraid of the cost and if he can get a return on his investment.
I am indeed.
Plus, he's nervous about disrupting the businesses that rent space in his building. Harvey doesn't know what to do with an HVAC system that's seen better days. The Air Comfort problem solvers to the rescue. Working as a team, the Air Comfort professionals find simple solutions that make a huge impact on building efficiency and operating costs with minimal or no disruptions to building operations. HVAC upgrades and retrofits from Air Comfort can save thousands of dollars per year. They save energy, reduce maintenance, and eliminate downtime. And buildings with better energy ratings command higher rents and selling prices and make tenants happy. Get real solutions from the Air Comfort team of problem solvers. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com and start saving money today. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, Joe Walsh here. What now? What do we do now when it comes to healthcare? How about nothing? We'll talk about it when Freedom fights back tonight at 5.
And later on, we'll have that 60 Minutes interview about fake news, who's producing it, and why they're doing it. It's just fascinating.
And we'll also have a spelling lesson or a grammar lesson for LeBron James, tweeting yesterday about basketball.
Oh, really?
They show toughness and stayed on me every single day. Never sugar-coated, D-E-D. Sugar-coated nothing.
Are you sure I didn't write that?
Yeah.
Wait, how did he spell it?
Sugar-coated, like code, C-O-D-E, not coat. Sugar-coated nothing. Never sugar-coated nothing. LeBron James. All right, that's a lesson for all you kids out there. Stay in school.
And later, snakes on a plane, no spandex on a plane. What? But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
45 degrees. 8 high school students are feared dead after an avalanche strikes a Japanese ski resort. Avalanche struck this morning around 125 miles north of Tokyo. 30 are set to be injured. Roughly the same number of students and teachers made it out safely. This morning, the White House is putting health care reform on the back burner and moving on to tax cuts. Budget Director Nick Mulvaney on NBC's Meet the Press.
Many of them would have supported the bill if it had come to the floor. It was a bizarre combination of who was against this bill.
Mulvaney saying voters will blame Democrats when Obamacare collapses. Mulvaney says the administration will revisit the issue later if asked. Man who runs the White House staff of President Donald Trump, still a firm backer of House Speaker Paul Ryan, despite the failure of repealing and replacing Obamacare last week.
He doesn't blame Paul Ryan. In fact, he thought Paul Ryan worked really hard. He enjoys his relationship with Paul Ryan, thinks that Paul Ryan's a great Speaker of the House.
Reince Priebus on Fox News Sunday. The man accused of opening fire inside a bus on the Las Vegas Strip is due in court later today. Rolando Bueno Cardenas faces murder, burglary, and firearms charges. So far, no arrests in the mass shooting at a Cincinnati nightclub over the weekend where 1 was killed and 15 were hurt. Authorities investigating a deadly hit-and-run accident on the tri-state in suburban East Hazel Crest this morning. Former Chicago Public Schools CEO Paul Vallis could be given the top administrative role at cash-strapped Chicago State University today. Chicago Police Union President Dean Angelo heading to Washington later this week. He'll speak with President Trump and Attorney General Jeff Sessions. An investigation underway following a deadly house fire in River Forest. The blaze began yesterday inside a home in the 500 block of Park Avenue. Firefighters found a man's body in the basement. The flames were quickly put out. Bulls beat the Bucks 109-94. Blackhawks take on the Lightning in Tampa later tonight. The news a service of Howard Johnson. Howard Johnson Hotels wonder, why does his Sunday get all the fun? Join the Monday Fun Day movement today with Hojo's vacation sale and make Monday happy. Visit hojo.com/radio to plan now and save 15%. 7:32, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Revolutionary Arm & Hammer Slide non-stick clumping litter slides right out of the litter box with no scrubbing or scraping and provides the confidence of a 7-day odor-free home, guaranteed.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
Are you facing foreclosure, been foreclosed upon, in a bad modification, or just stuck in a bad mortgage? Well, we may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges & Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. We defend foreclosure actions. We bring claims against the banks and the servicers for wrongful foreclosure and other violations of mortgage servicing regulations. And we help people negotiate modifications of their existing mortgages, often including principal reductions. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest analysis, counsel, and advice regarding your options.
Hi, this is Rayanne from Lou Bridges & Associates. I am one of the loan modification processors here, and if you are in need of any additional information in regard to a loan modification, please contact the office.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. I want to answer some frequently asked home mortgage questions today. First, how much do I need for a down payment? There are 1% down payment programs currently running, as well as programs that will allow you to get the entire down payment as a gift. We also have programs where a family member can co-sign for the mortgage in order to help the borrower qualify. Do I need perfect credit to qualify for a loan? The answer is no. All these programs have restrictions, so please give me a call at 312-896-2110 and I'll be happy to go over them. Another question is, can I take cash out of my house to pay off high-interest credit card debt? The answer is yes, but you need to have enough equity in your house to make it happen. Why Townstone instead of the big banks? Because since 2002, we pride ourselves on beating the big banks on closing costs and interest rates every day. Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call 312-896-2110 or go to townstone.com.
Listen to the Townstone Financial Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. here on AM 560. Townstone Financial is an Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639.
7:35. Let's get a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. I-80 has delays westbound Gauger to Richards. Crash blocking the left lane. The Edens is 20 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 23. Kennedy 44 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 41. The Eisenhower 52 minutes. Thorndale to the post office and 38 from Manheim outbound 36 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 3 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40 minutes. The ride from 95th to downtown, looking at 35 minutes. Traffic is a service of Howard Johnson. Howard Johnson Hotels wonder, why does Sunday get all the fun? Join the Monday Fun Day movement today with Hojo's Vacation Sale. Make Monday happy. Visit hojo.com/radio to plan now and save 15%. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Mainly cloudy, cooler, rain and drizzle fires up later this afternoon with a high of 53, an evening shower expected and a low of 38. Currently, 45 degrees. Next news coming up at 8, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So on Friday, the reaction to the failure to cobble together the 218 that Speaker Paul Ryan needed to call the question and move Obamacare replacement to the Senate. This is what Paul Ryan had to say about that, and Nancy Pelosi as well.
Obamacare is the law of the land. It's going to remain the law of the land until it's replaced. We did not have quite the votes to replace this law, and so yeah, we're going to be living with Obamacare for the foreseeable future.
It's pretty exciting for us. Yesterday, our anniversary. Today, a victory for the Affordable Care Act, more importantly, for the American people.
If Nancy Pelosi is declaring victory, that means you're losing if you're on the Republican side. And President Trump responded initially by engaging in a little bit of the blame game, the Freedom Caucus and conservative organizations like Heritage Foundation who opposed the replacement bill, and then got to his Norman Vincent Peale, where he talked optimistically about down the road, not just that the Democrats own Obamacare, whatever happens, but down the road, perhaps this will be the preface to an even better piece of legislation, which is sort of what National Review is suggesting in their Reboot editorial today. And for more on that, we're pleased to be joined by the editor of National Review. He is Rich Lowry. Rich, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
First of all, before we get to that, I want to extend condolences on the passing of Linda Bridges. For those who don't know, she was Bill Buckley's partner in so much of his scholarship. She also was quite the scholar herself. When I was on another station, we had her on the show a few years back when she released Athwart History, a collection of Buckley's works as well. And so very sorry to hear of her passing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we've lost a great friend and colleague and someone who was just an incredible storehouse of institutional knowledge about National Review. So I appreciate that.
Well, on to the matter at hand, the opening line of your editorial today. Debacle doesn't have to be the last word on Republican efforts to repeal and replace Obamacare. It seems like that is the posture of many Freedom Caucus members, including Jim Jordan over the weekend, but not necessarily the White House.
Yeah, not necessarily the White House, the House, or the Senate, which is a problem. We just don't think you can promise something for 7 years straight and then give up after 3 lackluster weeks. They need to keep after this, not just with Tom Price administratively at the Department of HHS, but they need to try legislatively again. And there'll be a window of reconciliation next year if they don't have an appetite to get right back after it. But they just can't shrug and say, oh, well, after less than a month of trying.
So healthcare is on hold for now, but you say for another year until they go at it again?
Yeah, well, a huge problem here that people sometimes don't appreciate is that when Democrats did all that initial legislating when Obama was elected, Dodd-Frank, Obamacare, the stimulus, they had 60 votes in the Senate. Mm-hmm. And that pretty much gives you close to a rubber stamp. Republicans have 52. So unless they're going to eliminate the legislative filibuster, which Mitch McConnell seems to have no appetite for, they need to bypass it. And the only way you can bypass it on legislation is the so-called reconciliation process, which is associated with the budget process, which means you can do it once a year. You get this window of reconciliation. Now, through some technicalities, they have 2 windows this year, and that's why their plan was to do Obamacare and now to do tax reform, both through reconciliation, so you could pass legislation with just 51 votes. But that's why the bill didn't make a lot of sense, by the way, because supposedly you can't repeal regulations through reconciliation, and regulations were the heart of Obamacare. So that's why you got this really ungainly legislative device that Paul Ryan came up with that a lot of people thought, rightly, would actually make the individual health care market worse rather than better.
But so you have some critics of the Trump-Ryan proposal suggesting what happened here is that procedure dictated policy, and that's a problem because of, as you were just mentioning, kind of the 3 phases that have been much discussed. But isn't...
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right.
But procedure is part of the reality on the ground, isn't it? I mean, I understand the criticism, but as you were pointing out with the numbers in the Senate, the process really is something that has to be contemplated in figuring out what's the best that you can get.
That's true, certainly true. But I would have started in the House with something they could be proud of. That was a cogent, internally consistent piece of legislation, and they didn't, because they had an eye to Senate procedure, so they came out with this ungainly compromise of a compromise that pleased no one. And that's a formula for not getting it through the House. I thought there was some chance they could still get it through the House just through muscle, which is what they tried to do, but they obviously failed miserably, and now we're nowhere. So I think it would have made more sense to produce something that was defensible on policy grounds, and then let the Senate worry about the procedure. And I think that the Senate, you can probably be more aggressive and creative about what fits under reconciliation. But this is all Monday morning quarterbacking now. That they're moving on to tax reform.
Right, but did it give you pause, though, when on Friday President Trump blamed the Democrats? I mean, how can he blame the Democrats when the Republicans control both the House and Senate?
No, that's true. It's easier if you can do things in a bipartisan way, but this was legislation Democrats never, ever in any universe were going to support. And there's been some loose talk on the Sunday shows over the weekend of Trump reaching out to Democrats, but I think that's hard now. It would have been easier right after his inauguration if he struck a more unifying note in that inaugural address, and then had Chuck Schumer to the White House and say, "Look, Chuck, I'm not letting you leave until we agree on an infrastructure package." And and then roll Paul Ryan and say, look, I'm the newly elected Republican president. I have this agreement with Chuck Schumer. You're bringing it up on the House, and you're voting for it. And that would have been an entirely different path. It's one he didn't take. Instead, he called Chuck Schumer a clown, repeatedly on Twitter, and mocked him for supposedly fake tears, and went with health care first. And it's just going to make it really hard for him to reverse course and try to start in a more bipartisan way.
Of course, all the headlines this weekend are unsurprisingly, can the GOP govern? All the criticisms of the GOP's inability to govern as indicated by this failure. Is it too soon to start asking that question in a bit of a nervous tone, or are we, one more failure or internal conflict like over tax reform away from that being a legitimate discussion topic?
This is a big step towards that being the reality. Now, tax reform, if they actually were to get tax reform through, especially if they were going to get it through by August, as Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, is promising, that would be a big deal. But if I were them, I'd be tempted to go smaller rather than bigger, because tax reform itself is hideously complex. There are all sorts of painful trade-offs where every action has a reaction. Everything you do is going to upset someone. And I'd be tempted just to do a corporate tax reform where you could get some Democrat votes for that. It's the thing that economists think in the tax code would have the biggest economic benefit, rather than trying something gargantuan and hideously complicated again. And if the tax reform goes down, then the first year legislatively has been a complete failure, and you have some chance of a breach between Congress that's become a really enduring party. And I wouldn't be surprised in that circumstance if Trump might execute kind of a mini Schwarzenegger, because Arnold Schwarzenegger, before he was a failed host of Celebrity Apprentice, was governor of California, won as a populist conservative reformer, realized that was much harder than he realized, and basically turned to the other side and became a Democrat. And I wouldn't expect Trump to go that far, but I think it could be herald a turn to the non-ideological team within his White House, Gary Cohn and Jared Kushner and Ivanka.
That would be.
You could have a lot of people bowling over at the White House.
Well, yeah, a lot of people getting bowled over. So a couple things. In the short term, Neil Gorsuch can't get confirmed soon enough to kind of break this up, I suppose. But in addition to tax reform, and maybe, as you suggest, starting small before you go big, what about an immigration, particularly as these stories continue from the rape in Maryland of that 14-year-old girl to this story out of New York about a MS-13 gang member deported 4 times who sexually assaulted a 2-year-old and stabbed 2 women. This is obviously a predator that shouldn't be in this country and shouldn't be walking around free in any country, and yet he's back in America for the 5th time. It seems like that is an area, sanctuary city designations, the funding associated with that is an area, it seems, where Trump could ply his populism to great political benefit.
Yeah, well, they've already tightened up the enforcement, appropriately so, and that's very easy, relatively. All you need to do is enforce the laws, and you can do that on your own. Congress doesn't have to have anything to do with it, and that's important. And stopping these idiocies like catch and release, and repeatedly sending people back into our society who shouldn't be here in the first place and have committed crimes, is obviously absurd and has to end. But then if you really want a durable enforcement system, you need to get legislation. And one way to go, and this is potentially something that would have some bipartisan appeal, would be to take the DACA, which is the unilateral action President Obama took to give dreamers, so-called dreamers, a semi-amnesty, and say, Democrats, look, we want to pass that legislatively, write it into law in exchange for an E-Verify system, which would be mandatory for all employers to ensure that they're not hiring illegal labor. Now, that would be a trade-off that potentially could be appealing to Democrats and would actually create an enforcement system where you can envision, 2 or 3 years from now, if it's actually up and running and working, where you could imagine a broader, more comprehensive deal on immigration.
All right. He is Rich Lowry, the editor of National Review, nationalreview.com, and Fox News contributor, also the author of the book Lincoln Unbound. Rich, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. Have a great morning.
You too.
Yeah, and he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, why can't Rich Lowry be president of the United States?
Because he didn't.
Okay, well, he should run in the future. And today it's going to be mainly cloudy. We're going to have a drizzle late this afternoon, a high of 53 degrees, humid out there. And then tonight, an evening shower in spots, a low of 38. Tomorrow, no rain, just cloud coverage, a high of 51. And hopefully we'll see the sun by Wednesday. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. Northwest side of Chicago, Grand Avenue is closed at Melvina, west of Austin. Reported shooting. I-80 westbound jammed. US 32 Richards with a crash in the left lane. Eastbound, it's very heavy from the Des Plaines River Bridge to Richards. On the Edens, inbound 20 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose. Outbound, it's 22 minutes. The Kennedy, now looking at 47 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 34. The Eisenhower, an hour and 3 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 38 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 9 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 49 minutes. At Pulaski, cruiser trying to patch up a pothole in the center lane that caused flat tires. To Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive now has delays. Bryn Mawr to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-States, though Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis and Roosevelt to North Avenue. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
The website, upstream-ideas.com, content that complements what we do each morning on this program. Long-form interviews like our Against the Current series, and I direct your attention to this week's with David Keene, former NRA president, former American Conservative Union chairman, Washington Times opinions editor, somebody who came up with Buckley, was a close confidant of Reagan, has a lot of advice and counsel for Trump and congressional Republicans, and also has some historical perspective on why the gun rights movement has been as effective as it has been over the last 30 years as a political movement and the threats that loom on the horizon yet for our Second Amendment rights. Really excellent interview. In addition, we podcast Illinois Rising program, which covers state politics and policy. Follow the Logic, Man on the Street interviews, and much, much more. Go to upstream-ideas.com and sign up today.
What effect does our country's religious background have in today's society? This is Law and Justice with Jay Sekulow.
I was just curious, our government states that there's a separation between church and state, but yet our national currency has got "In God We Trust." And which God are they referring to, and why is it on there, and how did it happen if there's such a separation between church and state?
It's interesting that our national motto, as you're right, is "In God We Trust." And what were they thinking of? Well, the Founding Fathers, if you look back at the Establishment Clause, it was the same time that the First Amendment's Establishment Clause, where the whole notion of church-state separation has developed, and I think in some of the cases absolutely developed incorrectly. They were also passed acts of Congress authorizing ministers in various territories of the United States. But the church-state separation was really supposed to keep the government out of the affairs of the church, not vice versa.
Get involved in key issues facing our nation. Visit our website at aclj.org. That's aclj.org.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Bob Aument, a founding partner of the law firm of Dassman & Aument and longtime personal customer of Signature Bank. Our firm recently left one of the larger banks to bank with Signature Bank, and it's been a refreshing change. With Signature Bank, we've been able to tailor banking solutions that fit the specific needs of our firm. Beyond that, Signature Bank is responsive, efficient, and timely in meeting those needs. If I have a request, I pick up the phone and talk to Mick O'Rourke, not someone at a phone bank thousands of miles away. Dassman & Aument needed more than what the larger banks offer, and we found that with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Oh, this roof is so needy.
Call Grumweedy.
How do you spell that?
KRUMW.
Oh, just go to myroofisneedy.com.
If your roof is needy, call Crumweedy. This is Greg Olson of Crumweedy.
And I'm Mark Olson from Crumweedy. We are a third-generation family-run business, and we have been doing Chicagoland roofs since 1953.
You can't do that unless you do really great roofs. We share the same conservative values as you, and we want to do your roof. Here's what you can expect.
First, no high pressure. You make the choice. Whatever option you choose, count on getting a roof that lasts at a fair price.
You see, application is the key. We follow the manufacturer's specifications so your warranty is intact. A lot of companies don't do that, and that could void your warranty.
Our installation is outstanding. No horror stories here. The roof you need that will fix your problems. When your roof is needy,
call Crumweedy. Go to myroofisneedy.com. myroofisneedy.com.
Hey, are you thinking about the IRS right now? Man, if the IRS is coming after you, your IRS problem is there day and night. You need help to fight the IRS. I recommend you call my very good friend, Attorney Stephen Leahy of Open Tax Resolutions. Hey, he's got a special offer going on right now. If you're not certain about your position with the IRS, he will pull your personal IRS transcripts and find out exactly where you stand for free. Find out where you stand. If you owe back taxes, if you have unfiled returns. Hey, if you're afraid of the IRS, call my friend Steve Leahy now. 312-664-6649. Steve's the host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard every Sunday at 5 right here on AM 560. He's also a really good friend of mine, and I don't know of anybody better in dealing with the IRS. Call him now. Steve Leahy, 312-664-6649. That's 312-664-6649.
Is your website and marketing strategy helping your business to meet strangers? This is Brandon Wilson, and this is the Distant Horizon Internet Minute. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. Everyone is now familiar with WordPress and Salesforce and Constant Contact, but people are forgetting how to actually be marketers and salespeople. Can you run your business just on the people you already know? Of course not. The purpose of marketing is to meet strangers and to turn them into paying clients. At DistantHorizon.com, we can build any website, no matter how custom. And then we integrate that website with social, CRM, and marketing automation techniques to ensure that your business is constantly introducing itself to new prospects, not just sending templated newsletters to people you already know. We can change the DNA of your business so you take the technical stuff for granted and focus your thoughts on growth. Would you like to rethink your strategy? Well, it's easy, and it starts with a free consultation. Call me, Brandon Wilson, on my cell phone at 773-WEBSITE or visit DistantHorizon.com. That's 773-932-7483 and DistantHorizon.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, people cannot receive Holy Communion and at the same time act with deeds or words against the commandments, particularly when abortion, euthanasia, and other grave crimes against life and family are encouraged. This responsibility weighs particularly over legislators, heads of government, and health professionals. Those are the words of everybody's favorite social justice Catholic. That's Pope Francis.
Pope Francis.
Pope Francis, the press likes to celebrate him as being the Pope who isn't Catholic. Turns out he is. And I understand they like to talk about his support for a $15 minimum wage or climate change or other things he knows very little about. When it comes to Catholic doctrine, he knows quite a lot about it. And that means that pro-abort politicians shouldn't receive communion. And he's right. They shouldn't. and that was his directive that has been disseminated to bishops, and hopefully will be filtered on down to those less consistent about the observance of Catholic doctrine than is Pope Francis on that. So there's a guy with a 90% approval rating worldwide. This is what he thinks. Frank Pavone, the founder of Priests for Life, said some church leaders mistakenly think we are advocating the use of the Eucharist as a weapon. In fact, we're defending the Eucharist from being used as a political tool. These politicians have no respect for what the Eucharist means, an integral, consistent union with Christ with all of our brothers and sisters. And that would go for, hack non-Catholic politicians like Dick Durbin who shouldn't be receiving communion.
All right, coming up next on Chicago's Morning Answer, snakes on a plane, no spandex on a plane, will explain. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories we're following right now. The Chicago Police Union meeting with Trump administration officials and the Attorney General this week. A deadly house fire being investigated in River Forest. Chicago police say a man was arrested after a gun was found along with a baby in a stroller. Bulls blasted the Bucks while the Blackhawks battle the Lightning tonight.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. President Trump's ready to move on to tax reform as Republicans pick up the pieces from a failed bill to repeal Obamacare.
I think that it was important that we go ahead and show that we can lead and rather than continue to say no.
And that's why Congressman Ted Poe tells Fox he's leaving the House Freedom Caucus, the conservative bloc that derailed the bill. Fox's Jared Halpern live in Washington.
The White House Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, says the administration could now seek a new kind of coalition to fix health care.
Perhaps it's time for us to start talking to some moderate Democrats as well and come up with, a bipartisan solution.
And Democratic leaders also say they're willing to talk about improving the health care law. Georgia Republican Buddy Carter isn't sure.
Yeah, there are health care issues that we can work with Democrats on, but to depend on them to help us with the repeal of Obamacare, nah, that's not going to happen.
In the meantime, Republican leaders say they're ready to move on to tax reform. Dave.
Jared, President Trump wants a more business-like government. Fox's John Degger live at the White House.
The creation of the White House Office of American Innovation is aimed at streamlining and overhauling the federal government. Presidential advisor Jared Kushner will run the office. President Trump's son-in-law saying in an interview the government should be run like a great American company, and the new office will have sweeping powers to reform government procedures. Kushner will continue to advise the president on foreign relations. Dave?
John, a police officer's in critical condition in Oklahoma the morning after he was shot during a traffic stop in Tecumseh, south of Oklahoma City. Police say the suspect ran after the cop hit him with a stun gun. He's also wounded in a hospital. The U.S. is going to send 200 more soldiers to Iraq and Syria to help in the fight against ISIS. One of Russian President Putin's loudest critics has been jailed for his role in those big protests nationwide yesterday. Tens of thousands of Russians demonstrating against corruption. Opposition leader Alexei Navalny has also been fined for resisting police orders. A Putin spokesman says the protests were unlawful. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
48 degrees, cloudy skies on WIND Chicago at 8:02. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. Authorities investigating a deadly hit-and-run accident on the tri-state near East Hazel Crest. State police tell us a vehicle ran over a woman last night near Halstead. The car sped away following the incident. The victim pronounced dead at the scene. Former Chicago Public Schools CEO Paul Vallas could be given the top administrative role at cash-strapped Chicago State University today. The university's Board of Trustees expected to consider Governor Rauner's recommendation of putting Vallas in charge of the school on the far south side. Chicago Police Union President Dean Angelo heading to Washington this week. He'll meet with President Donald Trump about the deadly gun violence plaguing the city and meet with Attorney General Jeff Sessions. An undisclosed medical issue could impact whether former Chicago Mayor Richard Daley must give a deposition in a federal lawsuit alleging he ignored evidence of widespread torture by a former Chicago police commander. The issue arose after U.S. District Judge Amy St. Eve recently granted an order sealing details about Daley's medical condition. There is a status hearing on this case scheduled for later today. Chicago man outside with a 1-year-old boy has been arrested. Police found a handgun and marijuana in his stroller. 32-year-old Anthony Kennedy is now ordered held on $100,000 bail. Chicago sports, Bulls blast the Bucks 109-94 behind 28 from Nico Mirotic. Blackhawks take on the Lightning in Tampa tonight. Cactus baseball, Cubs split a pair, while the White Sox edge the Giants. Today, the Cubs take on the Indians. White Sox square off with the Dodgers. The news, a service of TrueCar. Using TrueCar, you can easily find the car you want. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat from the Fox Business Network and a service of Turnkey.pro. Here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, futures are sharply lower following withdrawal of the healthcare vote on Friday. Gary Smith, president at Cadena Group, says that deflated the optimism on Wall Street.
I never even thought we'd get the 21,000 was all due to expectations on what this administration could do. Of course, after Friday's action, that brings everything into question. I think that's why you're seeing the sell-off.
The European Union has approved the proposed merger of Dow Chemical and DuPont. Both companies have agreed to sell off parts of their businesses to satisfy antitrust concerns. Uber Technologies is suspending its self-driving car program after one of the autonomous cars was involved in a collision in Tempe, Arizona. Police say the Uber car was not responsible. The Dow closed down 59 points on Friday. The Nasdaq added 11. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
8:05 in Chicago, a check of traffic and weather. On the way next on AM 560, The Answer.
You need to understand that the way you build wealth is you do not use the evening news or CNN or Fox to set the tone of your emotions around your investing.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
If you're thinking of changing your investing patterns because you're watching the news, you need to turn off the news. You are in charge of your destiny.
Dave Ramsey. Weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-348-2121. That's 1-800-348-2121. 1-800-348-2121. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
8:07, let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On Chicago's northwest side, Grand Avenue remains closed at Melvina as crews are investigating a shooting there. Police are investigating. The I-80 side westbound is just a mess. From 355 to Richards, where a crash still has the left lane blocked. Eastbound, there is a Gapers delay from the Des Plaines River Bridge to Richards. The Edens is 20 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 23. The Kennedy, 55 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 35 from Montrose, 28 in the Express. Outbound 36 to O'Hare. The Ike, an hour and 2 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, 45 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 34 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 9 minutes, 3:55 to the Drive. Outbound 47 minutes. The Ryan at 33 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State delays, Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial, little slow, Maple to the Reagan Tollway. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly cloudy with periods of rain and drizzle late in the afternoon, high 53. An evening shower in spots, otherwise a cloudy night tonight with a low 38. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high 51. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
49 at O'Hare, 48 along the lakefront. There is some fog out there this morning. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by the Art House Gallery. Sell your gold, diamonds, jewelry, watches, and more. Call 847-926-0700.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So if you're directed at United Airlines about clothing policy with respect to young girls, Amy.
Yes, this is creating quite a storm on social media, and it happened yesterday. 2 girls and their dad were flying on buddy passes or travel passes, so that means somebody in their family, their mom or their dad, works for United, so they get to go, on a standby list and fly. So they were going from Denver to Minneapolis, and the dad was wearing shorts so you could see his white milky legs. Thank you. And the girls had on leggings. They had yoga pants. They had on spandex. And the gate agent said, no, that's in violation of our United Pass Traveler policy, and you can't go on the plane. So there was a woman there named Shannon Watts. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's a gun control advocate, a mom of 4.
Yeah, of course, a meddlesome busybody. Yeah, of course she's going to try to make an issue of this.
She did. She took to Twitter right away. One, United gate agent isn't letting girls in leggings get on the flight from Denver to Minneapolis because spandex is not allowed. She took it a step further. The 10-year-old girl was in gray leggings. She looked normal, appropriate. Apparently, United is policing the clothing of women and girls.
Yeah, and apparently, as she is so situated on the matter of Second Amendment rights, she's an ignorant busybody on this issue as well, jumps to a conclusion without ascertaining the contextual facts, right?
Yeah.
Because there is a policy regarding attire for people who travel on those passes as part of the PERK program.
Like the buddy passes.
And that policy,
Yeah.
what does that include in terms of a banning of clothing that doesn't look quote-unquote neat and professional? This includes form-fitting lycra or spandex tops, pants, and dresses, offensive or derogatory words or graphics on clothing, excessively dirty clothing that has holes or tears, or anything that is inappropriately revealing. Pass riders should use good judgment and common sense, according to United Airlines policy for pass riders only.
Well, a lot of people are worried this morning because a lot of people fly with leggings on and with yoga pants. So if you bought a ticket on a United flight, you can still fly wearing yoga pants. But if you're on this traveler pass, you can't. But is that sexist? I mean, would they stand in the same position if a boy were to wear leggings onto a plane?
They're called meggings. I know because I wear them. And I don't wear them, though, when I'm on a buddy pass.
Oh, you don't? 312-642-5600 is our Turnkey.pro answer line. 64636 is our Turnkey.pro text line. Type in DA, then a quick comment. I mean, I'm all about rules because I help out and I coach, and without rules, there is chaos. But this is just, they need to reassess their dress code guidelines.
Why?
I mean, because this is the sign of the times. Leggings and yoga pants have replaced jeans. That's just what has happened in our society. So they need to change. If they're going to let the dad on with those milky white fat thighs that he has sporting and not let the girls on, they looked more appropriate than he did.
So
that's how she sees it as sexist.
So somebody's physical appearance should be regulated, not their choice of attire. That's what you're saying?
If you've got that situation going on down under, you might want to put on some jeans. Or maybe he should have been wearing the yoga pants.
So again, the policy is...
Oh, I've got the whole list here. You can't wear a midriff. You can't have any outfit on that reveals undergarments, sleepwear, underwear, or swim attire. Mini skirts ban. Shorts that do not meet 3 inches above the knee when in standing position.
It's basically like business casual or country club wear.
Yeah, no bare feet, no beach type,
no
rubber
fighting.
flip-flops.
What's that sign say? No, not that sign. The other sign.
Any attire that is provocative, inappropriate, revealing, or see-through clothing.
Yeah,
but that's in the eye of the beholder. I mean, see-through clothing.
No,
yes,
it's actually not in the eye of the beholder. It's actually in the eye of United Airlines because this is a private company and they get to decide who flies on their planes, particularly as it relates to a policy for their travel perk program. So it's not really an eye of the beholder question. It's a policy.
They need to
of
change
United
the
Airlines.
policy. They need to include leggings for little girls. You know what those three girls, those two
Why?
teenagers and the 10-year-old, you know what they had to do to get on the plane? So Dad gets on the plane, and I guess they were, according to Shannon Watts, this gun control advocate, as you call her, nosy body.
Well, who cares? Who cares what Shannon Watts has to say? What is she, a correspondent on leggings?
No, you know what? She was there when
Who
it happened.
cares?
So she said the girls were embarrassed, and the only way that they got onto that flight is they had carry-on bags, thank goodness, and inside the carry-on bag they had a dress. So they put dresses over their leggings so they could get on the plane.
Well, according to a spokesman for United, they got a little bit different take than Miss Watts. Imagine that. The two teenagers whose ages were not identified by the airline were notified by a female gate agent that their leggings violated the travel pass dress code. There was no uproar, no tears, and the teenagers left the gate area without incident, according to a spokesman for United Airlines. I mean, not to question.
Was she there? The spokespeople aren't there when it happens.
Well,
they're just trying to keep their
Was the gate agent there?
The reputation.
Was the gate agent there?
Yeah, she was there, and so was Shannon Watts.
Right.
So who do you believe?
I believe the people who have all of the facts, not Shannon Watts looking for controversy. When I'm, given where she's coming from philosophically, and her lack of including that matter about dress policy, because she probably didn't know. She just took to Twitter to react. Gosh, boy, I don't know. That's a real tough call.
You can't wear clothes that have holes in them either. But luckily, Dan, celebrities who tend to love leggings and spandex took to Twitter to air their grievances, like Patricia Arquette, your good girl, William Shatner. I mean, it just went on and on.
So what?
Why aren't you allowing girls to wear leggings on flights? Who's your gate agent policing girls' clothing?
Right. And so, again, those are people who don't know what they're talking about. They're reacting to the reaction rather than reacting to the policy.
The best thing is William Shatner took a picture of himself in leggings on the set of Star Trek. And he said, see, I've done it before.
Yeah. Well, that should be banned as well.
That picture is...
William Shatner should be banned on all domestic flights just for tweeting that picture. Joseph in Mayfair.
Morning, Dan and Amy. Love your show. First time calling in.
Thank you.
I'm a United Airlines employee, and there's a reason that they have this dress code, guys. Back in the day, I've been working for United for 31 years. Back in the day, we used to have to dress suit and tie no matter where we went.
Yeah.
Summer, winter, didn't matter what. But for both male and female, here's the thing, guys. Right? We represent the company, and whether they were employees or family of the employees, we all know what the dress code is, and we are required to, adhere to, as you said, Dan, kind of business casual, which I think is fair. We represent the company, and when they have relaxed at times, people, you wouldn't believe what people would start wearing on these airplanes.
Oh, I've seen it.
Oh, we've seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Too bad there's not a dress code policy for everybody on the plane.
Oh, Joseph, thanks so much for the call.
I agree with that, Amy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much
But
for the
here's
call. I
Sarah
appreciate it.
Silverman. She wrote, "Hey, United, I fly a lot, about to go on tour all April and changing all my United flights to another
I
airline."
couldn't care less what Sarah Silverman has to say. So what is your position? Because you just agree with Joseph about representing the airline professionally, but now you're saying they should change their policy. So
I'm
which
saying
is it?
they should change their dress policy to include yoga pants, because yoga pants are the new jeans. I mean, that is just, they are. And as long as they're not see-through, because the corporations made them see-through, then they should be able to wear yoga pants.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to do a downward dog? Come on.
Dodie and Gurnee, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, hi. In a way, I kind of disagree with Amy on saying that they should change the policy.
Oh, yeah,
Policy is policy. Can't these kids get away from their yoga pants for 1, 2 hours, 3 hours? My son-in-law flies for American Airlines. He used to fly for U.S. Air. I fly on the Buddy Pass all the time. I knew that the policy is the policy of the company. You have to dress appropriately. And what's the big deal? Let the kids put their leggings on when they get to wherever they're going.
Exactly. Thanks for the call, Dodie. Imagine that the concept that you should look professional and presentable, and parents should make sure their kids look professional and presentable, particularly when benefiting from this travel perk program. Boy, that's just too much to ask, isn't it? That's outrageous. I want to wear what I want to wear when I want to wear it, and I'll throw a tantrum if I don't. That's Shannon Watts and all your Hollywood idiot celebrities like Patricia Arquette, who just 5 minutes ago was spinning conspiracy theories about Donald Trump initiating a wag the dog terrorist attack on the homeland to deflect away from the Russian espionage investigation or Russian collusion investigation. This is the quality of intellect we're talking about here. Give me a break. Marcy and Aurora, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, I was just going to say that as far as policy goes, I think it's more of a safety concern. Whenever I fly, I always think if in case of an emergency, I wouldn't want to wear something that would burn really fast. So spandex would not be my choice.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for the call,
Okay.
Marcy.
Maybe there's another reason not to wear spandex.
I think it's just the professional appearance reason. Dave and Itasca, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Dave.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Dan, you're right, but my call is about the employee who gave them the passes. A buddy of mine was in Southwest. I saw the exact same policy back in the day, and he warned me. He said, this is really important. You know, if you don't follow this, there's going to be repercussions on me and not just the airline. And how does that friend appreciate this whole thing now going crazy in the media and they're an employee? I think that person, they're not going to get terminated or anything, but I would be telling if I was the employee's boss, I'd have him in saying, hey, your friends need to knock it off with the social media.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the call, Dave. Only Buddy the Elf gets to wear spandex on a plane as part of the Buddy program. Patty in River Forest, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, hey, Dan. Amy, how are you?
Hello.
Dan, I think you know my husband. I think you guys golf sometimes together. You know, Amy, I have to say, I'm so shocked at your position. I think rules are rules.
Oh,
you know,
I agree with that, but they need to change them, too, because times are changing.
Well, why should they change them?
Because jeans
Why?
have surpassed, yoga pants have surpassed jeans in being worn more by women across this country.
Says you.
Most women shouldn't even wear yoga pants, and they wear them, right?
But they're leggings. You wear a top over them.
You don't. So my husband and I had 2 United passes, and I had the dress code, which I did not know. We flew on our honeymoon to Buenos Aires, and it was for first class.
Oh, of course. When you're flying with your husband, it's always first class.
Totally. So he's in jeans, and the stewardess said, you do not have the dress code. You have to go into coach right now. And he's like, what are you talking about? She said, you are flying on a United Pass, and you didn't read the rules. Go in coach. So Brian sat in coach, and I sat in first.
You go, girl.
You know what? But lesson learned.
Absolutely.
Read the rules, and that's it. It's pretty black and white.
Thanks for the call, Patty. Next time they should put Brian down with the luggage, wearing jeans on a pass. Barbara and Wilmette, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Barbara.
Oh, sorry. I just said I blame the parents.
Oh, yeah.
The father was right there. I mean, what did he say? Why are you girls dressed like that going on a plane? I have seen some of the ugliest bottoms walking around. It's terrible. It's just disgusting.
Exactly.
And I can't believe, why don't the parents give their children some directions?
Thanks for the call, Barbara. I appreciate
it's the whole
it.
thing of the coarsening of society. I mean, look at church now. People wear spandex.
Exactly.
People wear short shorts at church. It's just, I don't need to see that.
Every girl should wear a poodle skirt, and every guy should be in a tuxedo.
Exactly.
Particularly after 5 o'clock. We're not farmers. It's a little hat tip to 30 Rock.
Thank you.
Joanne in Midway.
Hi. What I want to say is that these people are getting either huge discounts or flying for free. So follow the damn rules.
Follow the damn rules. Thanks for the call, Joanne. That should be on the instruction sheet.
No midriffs, Dan. I saw you wearing one the other day.
I like to show off my piercings.
Midriffs. Who wears midriffs anymore?
Chris in Mount Prospect.
Hello, first-time caller.
Hi, great.
Oh, great. You're from God's country.
These young ladies are very lucky because flying back in the day when my father was a captain for Eastern Airlines, I had to always wear that proper outfit, but my father was allowed to kick people off the plane that weren't dressed appropriately, and he did, no matter if they paid or not.
Absolutely. Thanks for the call, Chris. Appreciate you calling in. And, oh, by the way, as you heard from Patty in River Forest, Amy, to your spandex are the new jeans?
Yes.
Well, jeans are also prohibited.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
If you sit in first class, but if you sit in regular class, you can wear jeans. I've got the list right here.
Ray and Elgin.
Hey, I think it's a pretty simple concept. You want to fly on a discount pass, you abide by the rules. If you don't, pay the full fare, wear whatever you want.
Thanks for for the call. Well, let's not go crazy. Thanks for the call, Ray, and wherever you want. I've seen one too many moo-moos on my flights. Sean in Elmwood Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Isn't Patricia Arquette 300 pounds? So the last thing your Orson Welles derriere needs is to be wrapped in anything fitting. Now, as a libertarian, this is one of the few aspects of life that should be licensed. Stop selling spandex above a size 8, for God's sake. I eat, okay? And then in the morning, I got to watch these moms stuffed in their minivans, get out with the spandex, dimples everywhere. It's despicable. Absolutely despicable. And another thing, I'm a father of 2 girls.
Dimples
You know what? My daughters try to pull the Libby Lou, Lululemon, whatever the hell they call these things. They put them on. I say, you think I'm paying private school tuition so you could look like a stripper? No. Take them off now. Otherwise, Daddy's going to call his friend who owns the pink monkey, and we'll see if we can get you a job.
Oh, all right. Thanks for the call, Sean. Sean, he is the customer service agent at United Airlines. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Brad in West Loop.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if you went to a restaurant where they ask you to wear a jacket, should all rules be changed?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the call, Brad. And you're paying full freight at that restaurant where you got to wear the jacket, too. Beth and Roselle.
Hi. I kind of agree with Amy because
Oh, no.
it's hard.
It's true. Society's changing. I'm telling you.
And when you when you travel, I only want to do carry-on. I don't want to hassle with checking my bag.
God bless
So
you. I love you. We can take-
I'm probably wearing one of the outfits that I'm going to have on vacation, and I won't have like some sort of weird pants with me. I'd want to wear my
comfortable.
Sure. I mean, I understand,
You need
Beth.
breathable fabric. Gosh, Beth, I love you.
Thanks for the. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Thanks for the call. Well, I got her point. I mean, look. Remember when we went to Cabo last year, and I wore my bikini top with the sarong?
That was bad.
I mean, because I wanted to hit the beach as soon as we landed.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The new Trump administration could cause explosive moves in the financial markets, and savvy market speculators are rethinking their investment strategy. Are you ready to do the same? At Online Trading Academy, we believe that reaching your financial goals has little to do with who runs the White House and everything to do with who runs your house. That's why it's the best time to learn how to capitalize on opportunities in the financial markets by attending a free half-day class. Call 888-984-8723. That's 888-984-TRADE or visit tradingacademy.com to reserve your seat. You'll discover professional-grade strategies that can help you generate income, grow wealth, and ultimately achieve your why, the things you want most in life. When you register, you'll get the Wall Street Insiders Kit. Valuable investing insights, strategies, and videos absolutely free. Seats are limited, so don't delay. Call 888-984-8723. That's 888-984-TRADE to reserve your seat. That's 888-984-8723. 888-984-TRADE or visit tradingacademy.com.
Hey, March, it's here. And it's not only March Madness, it's the National Sleep Awareness Month, did you know? And we all know how important a good night's sleep is to your health. And many of us have sleep-related issues because our pillow is a major reason why. While MyPillow now has a March offer that you cannot refuse. Through March, you'll receive a 50% discount on the 4-pack. That's 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows. Now with MyPillow, you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll get into deep sleep faster and stay there longer. No more waking up to a stiff neck or headache. Now, they're made in the U.S. of A. in Minnesota, and there's a 10-year warranty, and it's washable and dryable and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy. And if you've been putting off purchasing a MyPillow, it's time to finally start getting a great night's sleep. I know that I do. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use the promo code Amy for the 50% off 4-pack deal.
Hi, I'm Tom Sedeka, President and CEO of Precision Payroll of America. I'm reaching out to you today and asking you to take a look at your business relationships from a different angle. Have you ever wondered what organizations and causes your vendors support? I have, and it's eye-opening. Our nation is divided, and normal, traditional values are coming under attack by heavily financed aggressors. I can tell you that we do not and will never support hood and matter. We do support our veterans, our students fighting for truth, and yes, AM 560. If you currently use or need a payroll service, please let's meet. If you have no need, please consider the other advertisers on this station, as we are all fighting the same fight and we need to unite. To work together, call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. On the web at precisionpayroll.com. Let's talk, let's meet, let's unite.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
60 Minutes goes after fake news, except the fake news that's on the CBS News website. That's at 8:38.
And then later, what regrets does Melissa McCarthy have in playing Sean Spicer? But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Clouds, fog, 48 degrees. Police officer in Oklahoma is in critical condition at this hour. Shot last night during a traffic stop. Police say the suspected shooter was also wounded in that case and hospitalized. 5 remain hospitalized following a weekend shootout at a Cincinnati nightclub that left 1 man dead and 15 injured. Police are searching for suspects. They'll have an update on that shooting later this morning. White House Budget Director Mike Mulvaney says the Trump administration is moving on to tax cuts, telling NBC's Meet the Press he believes the GOP health care plan would have gotten a lot of support had it gone to a House vote.
Many of them would have supported the bill if it had come to the floor. It was a bizarre combination of who was against this bill.
He says now the administration will allow Obamacare to collapse and let Democrats take all of the blame. Dozens of suspected illegal immigrants are in custody in an ICE sweep in Fort Worth, Texas. Federal agents arrested 26 parolees yesterday. The Tarrant County Sheriff says they should not have been released from jail. All are low-level offenders. Senator Tom Cotton offering up his postmortem on Republicans' failure to pass health care overhaul legislation, saying on CBS's Face the Nation, you can't lay defeat at the feet of any single House faction. Authorities are investigating a deadly hit and run on the Tri-State Tollway. It happened in suburban Hazel Crest. Police say a vehicle ran over a woman late last night near Halstead. A car sped away from the scene. The victim pronounced dead at the scene of the accident. Former Chicago Public Schools CEO Paul Vallis could be given the top administrative post at cash-strapped Chicago State University today. You may recall we've had discussions about Chicago State dealing with a number of issues here on AM 560, including dropping enrollment and a huge decline in graduation rates. Chicago Police Union President Dean Angelo will be heading to Washington this week. He'll speak with the Trump administration about deadly gun violence gripping the city and meet with Attorney General Jeff Sessions. 2 are dead, 3 are seriously hurt after a vehicle slams into a building on Chicago's west side. It happened yesterday in the 2600 block of West Fulton. An investigation is underway following a deadly house fire in River Forest. Authorities say the blaze started yesterday inside a home in the 500 block of Park Avenue. And there's a reason this morning that you don't see any of Illinois' new universal plates. Not enough people have ordered them. Lawmakers created the universal plate 2 years ago to replace the hodgepodge of specialty license plates, but the state won't make the new plate until 2,000 people per specialty plate order one. Secretary of State's office says that hasn't happened yet. Nico Mirotic, 28, in the Bulls win over the Bucks, 109-94. Blackhawks take on the Lightning in Tampa later on tonight. Cactus baseball, Cubs split a pair. The White Sox edge the Giants. Today, the Sox square off with the Dodgers while the Cubs take on the Indians. The News is a service of TrueCar. Using TrueCar, you can easily find the car you want. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. 8:32, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, Roasted Fresh Daily in Batavia, Illinois.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with a 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
The real estate market can be tricky to navigate. The only edge to help you get ahead is knowledge and experience. And Real Estate Revealed is that edge. Heard Sunday mornings at 8 and hosted by Randy Barcella. Real Estate Revealed uncovers truths about the real estate market with an entire team of experts. Their real estate power allows them to present their experiences to benefit you before your next transaction. Real Estate Revealed, Sunday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, Cube mates. Anyone else looking forward to that exciting quarterly meeting today?
Sure. Another company lunch with bland sandwiches and a side of boring whatever. Can't wait.
Are you guys kidding? Obviously you haven't heard. We're having tasty catering today. Look out, I'm gonna go grab my seat.
Get more out of your meetings and company events. It's time to get tasty. Tasty Catering's brand new corporate catering menu has the spice and flavor your team will love. Dine on menu items like a roasted vegetable hummus sandwich, honey sriracha pork chops, and all of their brand new chef creations. Powering productive meetings day or night, Tasty Catering professionals help you plan the perfect chef-crafted menu. Their leading chefs cook up your catering, then the Tasty Catering ambassadors deliver and set up for your event. When your team is finished experiencing their delicious meal, they come back to break it down and clean it all up. Simple and delicious. Visit tastycatering.com to get started today and find their brand new corporate menu along with comments from other Tasty Catering clients. tastycatering.com.
It's 8:35. Let's get an update on the roads in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Westbound I-80 has delays from 355 to Briggs. There was an earlier crash at Richards. Eastbound is okay. The Edens is now delay-free, but the Kennedy. Heavy starting at Austin. An hour and 2 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 40 minutes from Montrose, 28 in the Express. Outbound 12 minutes to Montrose and 34 to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower. 56 minutes Thorndale to downtown. The delays are from Harlem to the Circle. Outbound just 30 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 7 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 38 minutes. Bryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, slow Bryn Mawr to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Oakwood to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State Stop and Go, Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis. And Roosevelt to North Avenue. The other tollways are delay-free. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Cloudy, cooler, a little fog this morning. High near 53. Currently, 47 at O'Hare, 46 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update comes up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by My Parts Garage. Your auto part is always in stock at mypartsgarage.com.
Hey, don't be caught without the facts. Listen to me, Sean Hannity, this afternoon at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So the discussion of fake news. 2 reports over the weekend. One where fake news is something we use to term reports we disagree with. And another where you actually have conspiracy theories and other stories, quote unquote, that are total fiction. There's a distinction to be made, and it's not made by so many. I'm talking about websites, actual fake news websites, like profiled in 60 Minutes last night in the Scott Pelley piece called Danger and Play, which is run by a Southern Californian lawyer named Michael Cernovich.
Yeah, and it shocked me that he's an attorney and he's engaging in this type of behavior.
Yes, that is shocking.
Well,
the normal ethical standards upheld by attorneys as a general rule.
Foraying into journalism or alleged journalism, just fake news.
So Cernovich talking to Scott Pelley and having this back and forth over the fictional stories, the unfounded stories that he has written that have gotten a lot of traffic through Facebook and Twitter.
These news stories are fakes.
They're definitely not fake.
They're lies.
They're not lie at all. 100% true.
Do you believe that, or do you say that because it's important for marketing your website?
Oh, I believe it. I don't say anything that I don't believe.
That doesn't seem like a very high bar.
It's a high bar because I'm an attorney. I know how to weigh and measure evidence. Here's the story of my life.
Cernovich streams commentary daily and publishes on social media. He reached Twitter users 83 million times last month.
That was a slow month, too. We hit 150 million sometimes. What I'm doing is it's punchy, it's fun, it's counterintuitive, it's counter-narrative, and it's information that you're not going to see everywhere else.
Well, right, partly because it's fictional. Or at minimum, unverified.
He must live in a different universe because he's the one who made up the fact Hillary Clinton has Parkinson's disease. And it spread so quickly that Hillary Clinton's doctor had to issue a statement saying, no, she does not have Parkinson's disease. And the Parkinson's Association came out and said she does not have it as well.
And now this cuts both ways, and 60 Minutes did give examples that cut both ways. So another one was, another fake news story. It was Donald Trump allegedly snorting cocaine at some country club or some such thing.
Before one of his events.
And there was a picture of him looking like Tony Montana. It cuts both ways. And so the issue is fake news a real problem? Does it have currency such that it pollutes people's understanding of reality and the reality of our politics and our civic culture? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Another fake news provider, and admittedly so, and he stories that included, these are just so obvious, but colonoscopy reveals Donald Trump has a brain tumor.
Yeah.
Zing. But here's what he said about what people will buy.
We would basically join whatever group it is that you're trying to target on Facebook. And once they kind of took the bait, so to speak, then they kind of would spread this stuff around. They would be the ones that would essentially be our bots.
What did you discover about the audience?
People in general are quick to believe anything that is, not anything, but, basically anything that's put in front of them in a format that is news-ish.
In a format that's news-ish, particularly if it's the worst about other people, I suppose. And so Pelley interviews this guy from a company called The Trade Desk, which is a company that helps companies steer clear of fake news and having fake news content on their sites, which is interesting because as much as Pelley takes the high hat to Cernovich and fake news in general, I took a screenshot of CBS News' website. That's where 60 Minutes resides.
Right.
And I tweeted out yesterday at Dan Proft. Nothing but fake news linked.
Oh, to the right. But didn't they do that as part of the...
No, it's not part of the story.
Fake news?
No, it's not part of the story. These sites are polluted with links to fake news all over the place because CBS News doesn't want to walk away from the revenue that's generated from the fake, the click-throughs and the fake news that populates their sites. So there's that's one layer of hypocrisy, and this goes to So that's just kind of an aside. But getting back to what the Trade Desk expert had to say about fake news and who's susceptible, they've actually done the research and assembled the data. Here's what he has to say.
So the first thing that we found out is that it is definitely a phenomenon that affects both sides.
Liberals and conservatives.
Yes, there is no question they're both affected.
And what's the profile, particularly on the left?
He was surprised to learn that right-leaning fake news overwhelmingly attracted readers in their 40s and 50s, and he found that fake news readers on the left were more likely to be affluent and college-educated.
That shocked me.
Why?
I think I thought the same way that many Americans perhaps think is that fake news was a phenomenon that only tricked the uneducated. Not true. Just not, the data shows it's just not true.
Green's analysis showed fake news consumers tend to stay in what he calls internet echo chambers, reading similar articles rather than reaching for legitimate news.
These are your champagne socialists that live in Lakeview and on the North Shore. That's who he's talking about. Those turn out to be the lowest of low information voters.
Really?
Well, that's
right.
what he's saying. This is not me saying it. I've said it before. This is just confirming my premise. But that is a category of news that is fake. It is unverified, unsourced, dreamscaping.
Right.
Okay. But when you have politicians talk about, or pundits, or just people on the left or the right talk about fake news, like this outlet is fake news, and I get accused of it all the time with my papers. I disagree with you. I disagree with the angle you took on this story. I don't like you personally, therefore you're fake news. No, I'm sorry, that's not the case.
Right, because your articles are based on facts and research that your employees have done, especially when it comes to property taxes.
Well, I mean
that's just solid numbers, and that's the research.
A lot of it is
not
public.
fake news.
A lot of it is public data. We inquire for reaction from individuals that are germane to a particular story. It's news. But the point is to say you have this other dynamic going on, which is the D.C. press corps and the avatars of what passes for establishment media, trying to crowd out and delegitimize news sources that do point of view journalism just like they do, but they don't admit it. Although increasingly that's no longer true. And they try to separate themselves out as, we are the kind of the guarantors. We're the QA personnel for the Fourth Estate. Well, they're not. They're not. And it's very interesting to see, particularly those who cling to this idea that they're not point of view journalists. But a feeder just tweeted out, Ben Jaworski, from the Chicago Reader.
Yeah.
He's going to take a job at Progressive Talk radio station.
Oh, he is?
Isn't it interesting when you have a Chicago columnist, reporter parachute out of journalism to some other job? It invariably is to work for a Democrat politician on their staff, or along with Dick Snodgrass over at WCPT, to go to liberal talk radio. Isn't that interesting? But they don't have a point of view. They're objective scriveners of the passing scene. Nonsense. That's the second layer of hypocrisy. One is they benefit from it. By the way, so does Twitter and Facebook. So,
right.
They benefit from the fake news.
I know.
So there is this category. I mean, we have to separate this out and make some distinction based on the quality of the content. Have some standards to assess.
Right, but fake news does have consequences, especially when it came to Pizzagate, where they thought that pedophilia ring was happening in the basement of a pizza parlor in Washington, D.C., and the crazy person who couldn't filter fake news from real news thought he was going to go and save children and fired a shot. I mean, subsequently he was arrested, but that's when fake news gets dangerous. And they interviewed that pizza shop owner yesterday. He never had met Hillary Clinton. He didn't know who John Podesta was.
Yeah.
I mean, and he kept getting threats. I mean, and when he almost started crying when he talked about the death threats that he was receiving.
It was an unfair story that was conjured out of whole cloth. And that's what the establishment press corps in this city and in D.C. does all the time.
But Mike Cernovich, the guy that we interviewed, he tweeted out, Pizzagate is not going away. This story will be huge, and kept perpetuating this story.
Yeah, I understand. But when you have the Eastern Seaboard journalists, it suggests that they should dispense with pretense of objectivity, which I appreciate. That should be embraced. That should be embraced. Except so long as they apply a standard of evidence. Now, if they do what, like the Washington Post has done, talk about nuclear reactors and New England being compromised by the Russians, and that is totally unverified and turns out to be false, then that can be a mistake up until the point that it repeats itself. But in terms of the larger kind of, Hannity and I got in this disagreement last week at our event here in Chicago. He sees like these journalists saying we're going to be the opposition party to Trump. He sees this as a problem. No, it's not a problem. It's progress. It is. We're not going to pretend anymore to be something we're not. We're going to get to cease this ridiculous pantomime of pretending we don't have a point of view and pretending that we're not out to get people who disagree with us. And we're just going to be open and notorious about it. Great. That's what you want. And by the way, isn't that what conservatives have been saying for these many years correctly, that the establishment press corps, the D.C. press corps, is the opposition party, or at least the handmaidens to the opposition party, and they kind of, interchange that role depending on who is more preeminent. Yeah, that's what we've been saying. So when they concede the point, that's called winning. So accept victory. And now we can strip it all away, and people can understand that these are individuals and outlets are coming from the left. They have an agenda, and other outlets have a different point of view, and they're going to select different stories, and they're going to choose to cover the same stories differently. That's better. That's more honest. Lee and Hammond, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I think the problem with that, though, is that the mainstream media still tries to portray themselves as some kind of a paragon of virtue when it comes to dispensing the news. And you got a lot of low-information Americans that don't see the bias that they spew on a nightly basis.
Yeah, but Lee, let me just stop you there. So they're never going to change. This is who they are. So do you want them to admit who they are, or do you want them to pretend to be somebody else?
Well, the problem I have with it, I think that in a lot of cases, people don't realize that they are a propaganda arm.
Well, I know. Thanks for the call, Lee. That's exactly why we should be celebrating Leah Finnegan, who writes in the New Republic, the media should become a true opposition party, as she did last week, or the exposure of Glenn Thrush at Politico, now the New York Times, as a hack for the Clinton campaign. All of this exposure and people admitting who they are, all of the arguments that have been made in these D.C. outlets to dispense with objectivity, what the New Yorker has become, to just be total attack rags with respect to Trump and the Republicans, generally speaking. That's good news. Stop complaining about it, conservatives. Hannity has it wrong. Journalism is not dead in this country. It is better than ever because the left is being exposed as the left, and you have a ubiquity of new outlets in the digital age that you didn't have 20 or 30 years ago. This is actually, we're actually doing so much better than you would otherwise believe. Stop whining about something that has been built into the price for 50 years. Doesn't make any sense to me. Follow the logic. Rich and Niles.
Hello?
Hey, Rich, you're on.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about George Bush. Dan Rather claimed that he didn't serve out his time in the military.
Right.
That turned out to be a fake news. And there also was that story about Herbert Walker Bush flying to Europe to talk to the Iranians, not to release the prisoners until after we got rid of whatchamacallit as president, and Ronald Reagan became president, and that turned out to be fake news, too.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Rich. It's not fake news. It was a story that was incorrect. And Dan Rather's career ended over it. Good. And other stories where the New York Times has gotten it wrong. Remember the New York Times story after the 2008 primary after he was the nominee, accusing McCain of having an affair. Mm-hmm. That was an overreach. The stories that we've talked about on this show, the overreaches, the unsubstantiated claims against the Trump administration, BuzzFeed publishing that silly, unverified Russian dossier on Trump. That's good news. Stop complaining. People are showing you who they are. That's what you want. Do you want people lying to you and pretending to be somebody else, or do you want people to expose themselves to the world for who they are and what they do, and then you can have an honest conversation? I don't understand the mentality that says journalism is dead. It's the opposite.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today it's going to be cloudy, rain and drizzle late this afternoon, a high of 53 degrees. Tonight, an evening shower in spots, a low of 38. And tomorrow, we're going to have mostly cloudy skies. No rain, so that's good. And we'll have a high of 51 and maybe the sun by Wednesday. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. The Edens is delay-free at the moment. Kennedy inbound, stop and go Foster to the Burns Circle. It's an hour and 3 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 47 minutes from Montrose, 30 in the Express. Outbound 29 minutes from downtown to O'Hare. Inbound Eisenhower, 52 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. The delays start at Harlem. Outbound all clear to Stevenson. An hour and 4 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 35 minutes. The ride is 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive delays. Southbound Lawrence to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Oakwood to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State stop and go from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. The other tollways are fine. Westbound I-80 has residual delays from 355 to 30. There was an earlier crash in the area. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hey guys, with your winter fat increasing, are you interested in staying trim through the season? Or want to feel less tired with the shorter days? If so, Progene is conducting a national study in the impact of testosterone and will pay you to participate. Go to Progene65.com to see if you qualify. Here, you can find out your testosterone levels for free while getting paid to do something about it. Progene, a doctor-recommended natural testosterone solution found nationwide at GNC and Rite Aid, is sponsoring this research and will pay you to be in the largest survey of men's levels in the country. It's an easy program you can do from home or on the go. The clinical-grade tests are painless and confidential, and everything is shipped to you for free. So if you want to make a difference in your life and would like to find out your levels for free, then go to Progene65.com now. That's the word pro, G-E-N-E, 65.com. Progene65.com. Enroll today before the study is closed at Progene65.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this product works. I even recommended it to my mother, and she's been taking it, and she's 89 years old.
Makes me feel good. It really does. I could feel a change in my well-being, let's put it that way.
So far, it has helped my irritable bowel. So I'm just praying that it just keeps going, because you don't know, this was a dreadful thing. Dreadful.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Balance of Nature. You guys are awesome. God bless you.
847-926-0700. This number can bring thousands of extra dollars right to your pocket. The Art House Gallery is back in Chicago. Do you have any jewelry or diamonds, silver, or antiques, paintings, porcelain, Fabergé, high-end pocket or wristlet watches, Rolex, Patek Philippe, IWC, Cartier, Tiffany, or Breitling? If you do, call the Art House Gallery now at 847-926-0700 and get your cash today. Meet in their office in Highland Park or in the privacy of your own home or bank. Call now, 847-926-0700.
Now, there's a show about the good life. Certified sommeliers Rob Lehner and James Crooker invite you to relax, grab a glass, and taste along as you explore the wonderful world of wine. Rob and James bring knowledge and passion to the sometimes mysterious subject of wine. Tune in every Saturday at 5 p.m. for Wine Time Radio, where it's always 5 o'clock. Sponsored in part by Let Us Entertain You Restaurants. That's Wine Time Radio, Saturdays at 5 on AM 560. The Answer. AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
I mean, honestly, I'm just baffled by the texts that we're getting from some. So I respectfully disagree with you. To tolerate a biased mainstream media only furthers it, and the public should demand accurate news stories. I mean, I think people have repeated that line so much that they've stopped actually assessing it. Mm-hmm. Human beings have points of view. Is that a revelatory statement? Everybody has a point of view. Be honest about it. Should you be accurate? Yes. And in a competitive landscape, then when you're less accurate and you destroy your own credibility, then you get less market share. And that's the great thing about the digital age and the number of competing outlets for your attention, that you don't get away with being inaccurate because you're one of 3 or 4 channels or one of, a handful of major daily newspapers. You don't get away with it anymore because there's more hands on deck, more outlets to choose from, more people doing the good, solid work.
Well, I think some people are afraid of ideology more important than facts. And that's what Ted Koppel brought up with Sean Hannity.
Well, that's fine. Let's have that discussion.
But if I want to hear something that's fair and balanced, I will listen to NPR, and then I will listen to this show. That's just because I like to see what they're saying about a certain topic matter, and I want to see what we're saying about a certain topic
I agree. You should consume content across the spectrum because one of the things is you are not effective in responding to the arguments of your political opponents if you don't know the ones they're making. It's pretty straightforward. I don't know why there's this clinging to just like the mainstream media is the boogeyman. We're winning, conservatives, and the more we force them out of the bushes to display who they are, the more we will continue to win. Stop whining about it. Journalism isn't dead. I like Sean Hannity. He's wrong.
Thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks to Justin, our new technical director, George Hoffman, and to Keith Conrad, our executive producer. We're back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a Chicago Police Union official meets with Trump officials this week. An SUV slams into a building in Chicago, killing 2, injuring 3 others. Investigators are on the scene of a deadly house fire in River Forest, while Chicago police say a man was arrested after a gun was found in a stroller. Bulls blasted the Bucks. Blackhawks battle the Lightning. There's baseball in the desert on a cloudy and cooler day here. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.